with NASDAQ and the SPY poised to open higher today after gapping down for a pretty weak session on Tuesday. Let's see if we can hold this strength and open green. Here's the SPY. Take a look at the NASDAQ. Tech definitely in focus today. We'll get to that in a minute, but also worth taking the Dow because we actually now know there's going to be a big Dow switch up effective as of the open on Monday, June 29th. Google joining the Dow, Verizon leaving. So the Dow looking to spice up its communications sector, according to a statement from the index itself. Interesting look here for DIA. We'll have to wait and see how this goes for GOOGL. In terms of housekeeping today, we do have some economic data in focus. Tomorrow, we get the massive glut of economic data releases, PCE, initial jobless claims, GDP, all at 8:30 a.m. But today at 8:30 a.m., you get the current account print. At 10 a.m., you get new home sales. We'll also get some comments from President Trump. He's set to sign a bill at 12 p.m. today. So just be aware of that. Scott Bessent already making comments on CNBC, or at least he was. He appears to be off now. So lots to keep an eye on. Let's take a look here at some of these plays and watch. Micron in focus ahead of its earnings report. They're reporting after the bell today, expected to be released right at 4 p.m. even. Cerberus, FDX, KBH all reported last night. So they're going to be focused as day one earnings plays. Analyst notes galore. There's a lot to discuss yet again. Good morning, Sharif. How are you?
Good morning, Adira. Thank you. I am well. There is a lot to talk about, as you mentioned there. A lot of earnings names, whether ones that have already happened or ones that we're going to wait for after the bell. Cerberus getting really hit hard here, already down over 10% to start the morning, 10.5% in fact. But there is some positivity. Of course, Micron, we'll keep an eye on that for after the bell. DRAM as well, or these just memory names in general, should be in focus as SK Hynix, the South Korean RAM giant, is looking for a July IPO. So that will be interesting there. Qualcomm with a tie-up with ByteDance, looking at making some custom chips for them. And CCJ, Cameo Corp, a Canadian company, also in focus as President Trump wants to expand the nuclear power plant footprint in the United States. And we all have to keep an eye on the defense names today, because President Trump does expect to meet with some of the big defense CEOs. Nike switching up leadership at the CFO role, and TTWO, guys, gamers, GTA 6 pre-orders already being taken to Dare.
Yeah, interesting look there for that TTWO for sure. In terms of the defense names, I was looking at Trump's schedule. It's not super obvious in that schedule when that meeting will be, but again, reports do suggest it's today. There's a period that's not on camera around, I believe, 5 p.m. where it could be, but again, we'll have to wait and see here. Of course, I'll keep you guys posted if I hear anything else. But in the meantime, very excited to welcome Sean back here. He's got Neil with him. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Don't be that excited.
No, it's not good if you're a Cerberus shareholder.
Cerberus.
They can't be happy with it. Apparently my mic is having as many issues as the stock is.
Or was it turned off?
Yeah, it's on.
It's on now? Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know. Cerberus down a little bit there. Marvell down 2% today as well as we continue. Up 2%, down pretty bad yesterday. Yeah, it's nice to be back here. My last day of the week again, so you guys get another treat with Joe and Neil the next 2 days. So that should be fun for everybody. I know Joe's likes putting in the double work over there. We're going to get Neil's mic all fixed up pretty soon. Marvell, Google, as Adair just mentioned, man, another Dow component. This is where we just recently bought it right here. I think we might have got, I don't know, we got it on Monday, and nice dip down yesterday. We saw, obviously, yesterday morning, everything got absolutely cranked down into 340 there. Verizon out, Google in. We can have a quick look to see what Verizon is up to right there. There's VZ, 46.50 today, so they're getting kicked out. Not much action going on here, as I think these moves were pretty well, sniffed out there. But yeah, Palantir, just as we've been saying, now I hear myself in my ear. We're going to have to change that there, Andre. Thank you. But there it is to the, I got to take it out. There it is to the downside, another 2% down here for Palantir. I mean, it's been really bad for a while, right? I mean, we've been talking about not liking this name, and there it goes down into the downside. PLTR breaking through this 125. It's been getting hit pretty nicely through that level. So there it goes, man, down into 114 today. Bad news there for PLTR. What's up, PMAC? Glad to be back for everybody there. Actually, went 2-0 yesterday. I just took Colombia and I took Croatia yesterday. So
England got away with one, man.
Croatia there. Yeah, England not looking good there against
Ghana. They got away with a pretty clear penalty that was not called. So to get the luck out on a draw. Not good, England. Not good at all. But hey, let's be real. They're not exactly favored. Just because you like them doesn't mean they're really expected to win.
I think they're top. I mean,
no, they're a
top
good
5
team,
yeah.
but they're not considered one of the elite. But you've got to be able to do well. Elite. They're not one of the.
Yeah, they're top 5 in the world.
They're not one of the elite expected to win teams. England, no.
Yeah, they are. I don't know. Are they, Sharif? I don't know. Yeah,
they're a good. They're a great team, but they're not in the top echelon. I'm sorry. If you're watching this tournament and you think that England,
yeah,
the way that they're playing,
maybe they're not playing that well.
But they're not.
But heading into the tournament,
they're not.
They are an elite team in the world.
But if you're watching them, incredibly disappointment. Like, you have to show up. This is the thing. You can have all the best players in the world. You can have all the preparation. You can have all the reputation. You can have all the fans and all that kind of nonsense. But if you don't show up, then you're not going to win. Reputation only gets you so far. Name only gets you so far. That's the thing. Like, you got to play. You got to play. Like, I look at what
you're
Canada's
you're a
playing.
Bills fan, so you know that experience, right?
Well, I mean,
it's true.
you're an Italy fan. You're not even in the Bills.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. It's you can be a favorite all you want until you win.
But that's exactly true. That's one of the reasons why, ultimately, like the Bills are a successful team, but they had to dump their coach because you can't get over the hump. If you got a team that's this good and you can't win, you've got to figure it out. If we bring it back to the market, SpaceX figured it out for half a day, and now it's back to normal. They're tapping the debt. Everybody is tapping the debt markets. They're going into the bond markets as well. Didn't take very long for that. So the euphoria off the 150 bounce, we saw the 150. It held it off the open after trying to break. It then bounced, got all the way to that 165 resistance, which I still think is resistance today, so I think it's a short up there again. But you're back to normal. So you had your one-day reprieve. Market's bouncing. It's down 1%. Relative weakness over here. So, at the end of the day, like, it was a good buy there. I think the next stop is that 135. Obviously, the issue price. And I feel the same thing about Cerberus. I think 185 in its issue price is going to be in play as well. So just back to regularly scheduled programming. The Alphabet thing in the Dow, I think it's kind of a nothing burger. I mean, it looks pretty, from a technical standpoint, it looks pretty good for a 350 break on Alphabet, and the catalyst is kind of meh. Like, what difference does it make if they're going into the Dow? Like, I think people like Google because of their moat. Yeah, you'll have a little bit of extra tracking, but it's a pretty heavily fall stock anyways. It does look like a good setup. I just don't think this catalyst is much of anything.
I mean, look how good that was yesterday. I'm sure you guys probably hit this. This trade yesterday, remember we were talking about it before.
Not pre-market.
No, just saying that pre-market low right there of 147 came in right on the dot right there. What a great, I mean, you make your whole month right there. Like, that's just a great buy back. Even if you buy it back through that 150 and give yourself $3 yesterday, there's $15 right there. Too bad, man. Take a day off and this is what happens. But there it goes, right up to the upside there, SpaceX. We'll see if we could do something like that tomorrow. This is the perfect setup for me. This is like just an absolutely blue sky. It comes right in, and we talk about this all the time, right into these pre-market lows. Yes, you have 147 and bounces off of 147 and then just rips itself up $20. Like, that's a great opportunity right there. And even if it breaks back through 150 and you take that trade, never even sniffs against you. So I think that's today. We'll have to look at that again because it looks like it's going to come back in. And I don't know if today it holds one. I don't think we want to support 150 again there, but we'll see if that 147 can hold there for SpaceX. That was just an absolute prime trade there yesterday. But yeah, it's pretty volatile. I mean, look at that. From 148 all the way in the pre-market, back up to 160, back down right into the heart of that buy, and then rip city. So yeah, I think there's a few things to look at here today. And even on SpaceX, maybe a 160 short if it comes in. I haven't written down anything yet. I have paid for some shares short there. 165 short coming in for SpaceX as well. So yeah, like, there's lots and lots of stuff to cover today. And
again,
even Nvidia down there at $200 for NVDA. That was a nice move yesterday. We'll have to see if that winds up holding there. Nvidia 200. Now it's 201 and change. So we'll have to watch that. Palantir's in trouble. There's it from Alan. What's up, Alan? Hopefully you're doing well here as well. Thank you for the $20. I think Baba is a buy. This is the thing. I was actually talking about this with my kid there this morning on the way in, and it's like, there's Claude has like a $200 a month plan. All these guys have all these plans. right now to where you get a certain amount of tokens and everything. But the problem is that who's going to pay for all of this once, apparently the $200 plan right now is costing Anthropic about $7,000 for every person that signs up for a $200 plan and uses like, their unlimited, whatever that token level is. The $200 tokens is about $6,000 to $7,000 worth. So the cost of acquisition right now for all of these companies, which is why OpenAI and Anthropic probably will be a disaster when they IPO. I think it'll be fine the first couple of days, just like SpaceX, but you want to talk about losing a shit ton of money, well, then you're in the right space, man. If you're an OpenAI or an Anthropic investor, then those companies are for you. And at some point, what's going to wind up happening is these large language models that exist over here in China that are run at 20% of the cost are eventually going to be good enough that they're going to threaten, basically the existence of this to the retail side of it, for people that aren't using the Claude bots, everything where you need to have that extra power. So I would just say watch out. I think Alibaba down here, and thank you for the super chat, I think it has to get to a buy at some point. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a buy because it's sub $100 once we get down there, but I think you could do a hell of a lot worse right now than investing in Alibaba. Like, I'm actually thinking the cloak has already come off of this name, and now we just wait to see what winds up happening on the push back through. So Alibaba right now down 1.5%. At some point, the AI trade is going to shift focus here, and you're going to want to get some Alibaba, but I just don't know if that time is now. China's still way up.
China's still an issue. They're literally suing the U.S. government right now because there's still the tit for tat. The good news is now the administration can set their sights on writing things. And if they do that and you get off some of those exemption lists, which is just really political infighting, it's just all negotiation tactics and back and forth, and we'll see. And it always does weigh on it. The other thing you got to consider about China is if you can find names that have the, like XPeng has a little bit of exposure into robotics, which they're crushing right now. Morgan Stanley raised their their delivery targets on robotics internationally by double again coming out of China. XPeng gives you a little bit of that. You've got other companies like Baidu which give you a little more diversification. It's not just Alibaba that's been getting beaten up in all of this. And I know when we got this question yesterday, 80 has been the spot. Like, once it's underneath 100, if you go back, that's been the joint for Alibaba, where the buys underneath 100 have been pretty much good the whole time. That said, there was a very big difference the last time it was down there. It held for a very long time. I go even further back on a weekly. It held for a very long time while bottoming out. And it wasn't trending down into that level and just completely reversed. It did the last time, but there was a lot of consolidation before that. There's still some settle down that absolutely needs to happen on those. And we'll see. I think now that we're moving on from talking, well, I don't know how much we're moving on, but we're trying to move on from talking about Iran all the time, and that's going to be the U.S. and talking about China, to be sure. Just saw, that's a bad dark pool wick. I looked up and I'm like, what the heck? SpaceX is already at 160. Nope, we got those dark pools again. So yeah, sometimes we'll see that. And I know yesterday and sometimes we'll be looking at the charts and people will be looking at their own. Most of these crazy wicks, almost actually all of the crazy wicks that we're seeing on this stock are just late reported prints from maybe last night, overnight, Blue Ocean, and like the 165s up in here, like those didn't happen. So no, it's still under VWAP, still looks like a short to me. But lots to watch, and I wonder, does this qualify for you, Sharif, Wendy's? It's a meme stock. Retail is pretty excited about a new, I think it was like a new officer, I don't know if it was a CEO, whatever it was last night. And then it just went absolutely ham. Although it's given up a lot of the move, Wendy's, believe it or not, is one of the high volume pre-market stocks, went all the way up to 850, it's still up 20%. So I got to figure this one qualifies as a small cap gapper for you, Sharif.
Neil, it's barely over $1 billion. So your point well taken there. We're talking 1.43 billion market cap. It is a little consolidative, though. We can put the chart on here. Looks like we got some support here at around $7. That was the morning low. Putting in some higher lows. I do like that. I don't like the fact that this Christmas tree retraced off that 8.5 touch, also trading below the volume weighted average price. But as you guys mentioned, up 20.5%. Going to keep my eye on this one during the midday, Adara, lest it lose VWAP.
Yeah, that was an interesting one too, because that news about the new COO, I checked, it was released yesterday morning. So this is about a day-old catalyst at this point, about 24 hours old. Interesting look. I have another potential small cap runner, though, that actually just broke new pre-market highs. It's Sunrun, RUN, guys. Market cap here a bit larger, about $3 billion, but they did announce a 16 gigawatt distributed energy partnership with Tesla, built around home batteries, smart thermostats, and connected devices. Is this something that you'd potentially be looking at during the midday there, Sharif?
Yeah, let's take a look. This is a company I know quite well, Adara, and we've also seen the solar stocks have a good run as of late. If you look at a lot of year-to-date names, we're talking Enphase, Sedge, a lot of other ones as well, all having a good look. But this is Sunrun right now, as Adara mentioned, hanging out near highs. We're going to keep a close eye on this one. If it's trading above the volume-weighted average price in the midday, you better believe I'll be on it.
Yeah, good catalyst there as well with that Tesla connection. Just be aware here, guys, USO in the market on watch. President Trump speaking to Fox about Iran and uranium. Nothing massive or nothing that we haven't really heard before, but just on watch. Let's take a look, though, at Micron, because MU, absolutely massive and absolutely on watch ahead of its Q3 2026 earnings report expected after the bell tonight.
What a year for Micron, Adara. What a year. $1 trillion market cap, check. 750% trailing 12-month climb. Check. You guys know where I'm going with this, but with that kind of move up, expect volatility, and that's what the options market, Joey, is pricing in today. 13% plus or minus move expected after the bell and subsequent for Micron. So expect a lot of volatility, and this could go both ways. Let's talk about some of the reasons this thing has been rocketing up here. So we already know their HBM, their high bandwidth memory, sold out for all of 26. But listen to this, guys. The CEO said that they can only fulfill about 50% to about 66% of their near and medium term orders. So they don't even have enough to meet the demand. That's given them more leverage in negotiations, because now they're dictating even more stringent terms and higher prices in these LTAs, these long-term agreements that they're doing with some of their customers. So very, very aggressive move here. And let's also talk about some of their margins, because I haven't seen margins like this for a physical product. We always pound the table about Nvidia's mid 70% gross margins. We'll take a gander of their 81.6. This is adjusted, mind you, adjusted gross margins. That's what's expected for this quarter. And I think a lot of it has to do with these LTAs, because they keep boosting up the price in those agreements. Last but not least, Adara, a lot of short sellers here kind of salivating at what could be a big move down in 27 and 28. They're thinking, look, SK Hynix, Samsung, they're all racing to put more supply online vis-a-vis CapEx, and they think there may be more supply in 27 and 28, Adara, when HBM possibly could meet a glut of inventory.
Yeah, it's been crazy even just seeing how these analyst estimates for this earnings report have grown even in the last day or so. I just had to update this visual, the Star Micron earnings visual coming out later today on X at TTQ Research, because the earnings per share estimate has gone up by about $1.50 since I made this yesterday. Revenue estimate up by about $1 billion. So these analysts just keep ratcheting up their estimate leading into this report. How do you guys feel here about MU today?
But didn't we see this last quarter? Like, estimates were rising. They still managed to beat expectations. It was unbelievable. And within a couple of days after the earnings, you were still down anyways. And it was, forget about the first day, like you still ended up down like I think 20% from the highs. Again, different market. But yesterday it had a good bounce off, there we go. It had a good bounce off some trend support from like the last earnings. But I would take a cautionary approach here. If Micron has the slightest hiccup, and believe me, they always find something to nitpick. When people profit take, all you ever hear is like, oh, it was this reason, it was that reason. But it just sometimes comes down to people doing a lot of profit taking. Like if this were to get back, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw this one give you an opportunity to bounce 8.6 in the coming weeks. I think that would be, if you're trying to get into it, that kind of feels like a bit of a dream level. But I think the thing to watch today would be going into earnings. Any break of the prior close indicates that you're starting to lose that trend. And if that happens, I think there's a little bit of a cascade into the 1,000 level.
I still believe there's a dip buy opportunity that's going to be coming into this sucker, just based on the last time they reported and the sentiment after the fact. It got back to the highs pretty pronto, but you still had that pullback anyways, and it was a very similar setup to what is happening now. So if that's what the pattern is, I kind of expect that to go through. It would be nice if it would be announced tonight if they announced that they were doing the split. I mean, I think everyone would be happy with that, but I doubt they're gonna do it, because I feel like they're like, some companies are like, yeah, they might consider it like every 10 years or so, but that would be overdue for them and SNDK. And if you're looking at it from a sympathy standpoint, I know we have Micron tonight, but the other big event, when SK Hynix, it's not an IPO because SK Hynix already exists, but they're coming to the US markets via an ADR. And that is going to be a huge amount of money raised. I think it's over 50 billion or something along those lines, making it absolutely gigantic of its ilk. That'll be another big event for the memory names. And I feel like when that happens, you could also have a little bit of a temp top in some of the others. That's more of like we'll worry about that when it happens at the end of the month. But, look at DRAM possibly when SK Hynix comes over and is listed. So I think there's just another even top event that could be happening, and that'll be that SK Hynix. I don't even know what you call that, because you can't. It's debut, I suppose, in North American markets. That's the best way to put it. It's not an IPO. It's just their debut.
Yeah, I'm not even. I don't think I would trade that the same way.
It's not to trade like an IPO, but at the same time, it does create. They're going to raise some capital with it, and it's going to create more supply of memory names in the U.S. equities. So, to the extent that maybe someone want to go over and track that and start buying that ADR, you might have some selling in some of the others. So it is worth watching. SK Hynix is huge.
Yeah, just on Monday, I mean, I was right here saying sell Micron. And I mean, the fact that it went down is what it is. I mean, you're going to have these days. It's back up today. So you never know. But I think the thought there on Monday was the fact that, heading into earnings, I told you, it was 2 of the last 3 they went down. It was down 3%, up 7%, down 3% were the last 3 reports for Micron. So I don't think there's that much risk in the report. It's just a matter of, it just gotten way too high, and I thought there would be some selling heading into today, but then it's back up today. So, it's just one of those names. You just have to go back and forth. And, Adair's already said that sort of the expectations have already changed. Just, all the time these analysts are going to get this name wrong. I feel like the memory supply demand equation is still in favor of Micron going higher from here. It still doesn't have a crazy PE. The only thing is, I think we are getting, as I already said, I'm getting pretty nervous. Like I was just saying, my son is much smarter about AI than myself, and is already thinking that this is going to be a top, and he's 24 years old. So he's in the game. He's even talking, he's in the venture capitalist game as well, and all that money is drying up like crazy right now in the venture capitalists, which is why they're coming to market so much, which is why the SpaceX, how they changed all the rules for the retail and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of people trying to get out, not get in right now. So we'll have to wait to see if that's the case moving forward. But I do think that Micron does have a pretty good moat around it for right now, but will continue to beat numbers, and just a matter of, will the market reward it? I wouldn't want to be sitting here taking that shot. I would actually take a bump of 4% today and get out if I didn't. Just like if you're stuck in Palantir and you get like a little bit of a bump, might be time to get out of that one as well. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Micron at some point. It will be back to all-time highs, I'm sure of it. I just don't know when, but today it will be interesting. $1,200. We'll see if it can hit that in the after hours. I don't know what time they report, but it'll be sometime.
4 p.m. on the dot.
4 p.m. on the dot. So hopefully we'll be able to show you that report, and we will go from there. All right, Joe, over at the screen now. It's options time.
All right, guys. Good morning and welcome. Let's take a look at some of the activity. Some interesting names on the board this morning, guys. This is going to be the Emerging Markets ETF. Now, if you go into some of its holdings, South Korea took a hit yesterday, guys, or during the evening time, and it hit them and down 10%. So it was on SSR at that point. The majority of this ETF's holding is in South Korea, is really concentrated in South Korea and in Taiwan. So I wanted to take a look at this specific ETF. Now, First things first, you can see that there's major liquidity issues, and that's something that you need to be aware of when you are trading options. Nonetheless, I wanted us to take a look at this specific contract. Now, this is going to be a put contract, guys. EEM is the ticker, so your top holdings are going to be within China, Taiwan, and South Korea. But what we're looking at here is open interest, 10,000 contracts at this $64 marker, and 2,700 opened and closed on yesterday's session. Now, what I really want us to focus on is if you're an options writer, there's no point. You're going to be paying fees. You're collecting not even $5 on this one. I just wanted to bring up this specific ETF just due to yesterday's selling. And then you're going to be paying on the ask as well too. $50. You can see our delta negative. That's how we can identify if it's a put. And then our gamma exposure is relatively light. But an uptick in at the money IV, 49.3%. Just to look at the contract one more time. It's just barcoding. There's no liquidity. You'd be like, what am I even looking at here, Joe? Exactly. Not very much. So be cautious when you are trading. And I went over multiple examples when I had issues of getting out of specific contracts. And brokerage is like, hello, there's no liquidity. So that's something that you need to identify before opening your positions. Moving forward, guys, we're going to look at some more put activity. What I really want us to focus on is potential support levels. Now, the last one on this list is my most concern. If you can see from a daily head and shoulders pattern, guys, and it looks like we're starting to form a shelf. So let's see if we can find some support here relatively soon. But let's start off with some SpaceX, $150. We ran into that level yesterday, but that's going to be expiring on the 17th. Now, our volume sitting around 12,000, but our open interest at 34,000. So that's going to be the opening price from the IPO date. Let's see if this level can hold. There is a substantial amount of size there. Once again, we're going to be heading over to Tesla, another Elon company here, guys. Strike price $335. Joe, what are you even talking about? This is $50 away. Well, let's take a look at some of the metrics here. Now, expiring on the 26th, but what I really want us to focus on is the 13,000 contracts at that $335 level. If you're an options writer, that might be something you are interested in. Volume really light on this specific contract here, guys. 356 contracts open and closed on yesterday's session. Now, a name that we were just talking about, where are we going to find a potential floor here in this specific name, NVDA? We're looking at $195, guys. And I wouldn't be surprised if this open interest is absorbed and we get a little bit more downside. Key support level, head and shoulders pattern. It could get pretty ugly. Hopefully it doesn't. But volume 26,200 contracts and open interest at 23,700. That is going to be the most outstanding on this specific expiration cycle. Moving forward, a name that is reporting this evening, guys, Micron. We're going to be looking at this $1,200 marker. So slightly out of the money here, guys. But what's really important, where are we going to find those resistance zones if it decides to move to the top side? Sharif mentioned not too long ago, we're looking at a 13% move in either direction. We'll get into that more during the midday, and we'll mark out some more levels. And if we can correlate it with some open interest, that can give us a better idea of maybe where this underlying specifically is going to head. Now, as for the open interest, once again, 10,800 contracts at this $1,200 marker, volume at 15,400, but our delta is relatively cool, guys. Don't forget that when you're heading into earnings report, and your at-the-money IV is going to increase. Why? Because we're pricing in the expected move, 178%. So what does this mean? You're going to have an increase in premiums, but also if you're an options writer, it benefits you as well too, because we talk about volatility decay quite often and how it can benefit you after an earnings report. Why? Because the average true range within the specific underlying tends to slowly compress, and that's what you want to see. So 178% there. You're going to be paying $2,200 for these contracts that don't expire. I mean, they expire on Friday, so you have to be cautious of when and where you are purchasing these, and your bid and ask, if you're a collector, $2,100 right in your pocket there, Sharif. Not too bad of a look here on Micron. Can't wait for the report after the bell. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
We're actually going to send it over to us because we have a number in 29 seconds. Nothing massive here, but certainly a number to be aware of. It's the U.S. current account print forecast here, negative $208.9 billion prior negative 190.7 billion. Now, when you see us in about 24 hours from now at 8:30 a.m. on Thursday, we're going to have much larger numbers here, the PCE and core PCE consumer spending, consumer income. You're going to be getting here initial jobless claims and GDP. So massive economic data releases tomorrow. Today, though, that current account coming in just 1 second, expecting it any moment now, waiting for this print to populate here. Guys, again, the U.S. current account. As I wait for this number, we'll take a look here at the NASDAQ. Not moving too much on this. Hopefully we get this print coming through at any moment. Once I see it, I'll keep you guys posted, but not populating for me yet. Just came in negative 226.8 billion. It's going to be lower here than the forecast of negative 208.9 billion and lower than the prior print of 190.7 billion. Slight uptick here on the NASDAQ. While we're here, let's take a look at a name that's gotten beaten up as of late and actually looks like just took another bit of a leg lower. Nike. Some news here with NKE as well as some analyst notes announcing a CFO transition.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The Pfizer finance chief right now, as it currently stands, is going to be the next CFO for Nike. His name is David Denton. Let's talk a little bit about how much this guy is getting paid, though, because a lot of the reports that I was reading initially were like, oh, yeah, he's getting a standard package. Not really standard. Let's get to it. So he's going to get $7.25 million right up front, right just for signing. Now, they're trying to justify that $7.25 million to say they're offsetting the unvested equity that he leaves behind at Pfizer because he's leaving the role early. So they're trying to make him whole by giving him this one-time signing bonus up front. So that's number one. But he's also going to get an $11.5 million target long-term incentive award and a $1.45 million base salary. So whether he does well, he doesn't do well, he's getting that 1.5 nice and clear. He is going to replace the outgoing CFO, Matthew Friend. He's officially stepping down the 17th of August of this year. Unusual severance details here regarding this Friend person. He's being handed $2 million lump sum. This is a transition benefit, and he's going to remain full-time with the company until September 4th. He's just going to be a direct advisor to CEO Elliott Hill, who's continuing his transition. But there is going to be a nice little massive accounting boost here for the incoming CFO because Nike expects about, I believe, a one-time, they're not saying exactly how much, multi-million-dollar cash injection thanks to President Trump and the reversal of the tariffs, right? So they're going to get some money back. That puts a new CFO in a nice little financial position accounting-wise. And last but not least, Nike's current projections are built on a 20% revenue plunge, Adara, in Greater China. This is going to be one of his biggest tasks, of course, with CEO Elliott Hill, to kind of boost the China revenue again, which has really been dwindling.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because we actually heard about Denton leaving Pfizer a couple days ago. Guess we know now where he's headed. In the meantime, though, I believe we're headed over to talk to our friend over in Barcelona. His name is Luis Barbado. Thank you so much for being here with us over from Barcelona at Day Trading. How are you doing this morning? How's the weather?
We're doing very good. It's very, very hot here. It's already summer, very intense summer. So 3 months probably of being very, very warm here.
That sounds amazing. Let's get right into these small caps. I do have a couple questions for you, not necessarily your traditional small cap, but I'm kind of curious where you stand on these. Let's talk about Wendy. So this is, I think, just over $1 billion market cap. We had some news from yesterday getting recirculated by retail traders today about a COO transition. Is WEN the type of stock you'd be looking at?
Yeah, actually, it's not a small cap, but because of the movement, how it moved and the volume traded, we can think it might follow some small cap microstructure movement. So here we're looking for shorts. If we get like $7.90, $8, if we see shorts over there and it start to get crowded on the short side, we will short over there. It is not, as I said, small cap, but it seems it can follow the micro cap or small cap structure. It happened the same in SpaceX. Of course, it's not a small cap at all, but because of the volume and the range, we can consider or we can check some setups the same as in a small cap. For example, yesterday we have this third red day long pullback. I think we have talked about this setup some days. Neil, I think it used this setup sometimes. So we have a huge movement up because of the IPO, right? And we have 3 red days with a lot of volume. And then we see a sell-off here in a very important level, the 150. And you could see all the buyers coming in here in the open. As you can see here, the volume, when it broke 150, a lot of people were looking for longs, also helped by the flush in the market, 3%, almost 3% down in the pre-market yesterday. So this was very strong against a weak market. So it was a nice long. And as I said, we trade a small cap, but if there is a stock with a lot of volume and range, and it follows this structure or this setup, we take the trade.
Okay, great look there on that SpaceX that you just showed. I have another question here. Again, a name that's not strictly a small cap, but is running up with a pretty interesting catalyst. Sunrun here teaming up on an energy deal with Tesla. Is RUN the type of name that you'd be potentially looking at today?
Yeah, this has a what we call red flag when you're thinking about shorting. And if in the news it appears deal with Tesla or Nvidia or Google or government agreement, it's kind of a red flag for going short because, you know, a lot of algos and a lot of funds invest in this kind of a stock when these keywords appears in the news. It is also true that we have a very important overhead resistance in $16, $17, as you can see here. If we might get a little bit closer to that price, we might try a short there with tight stop. Not gonna hold this for a long time short because of the news. You can see here between these $16, $17, it could be a very, very nice short. I don't know if intraday is the best stock to trade, but I would definitely go short there with a tight stop even for a swing trade.
Makes sense. Are there any other stocks that are on your radar today that you're looking at or think could be in play once that bell opens?
Yeah, we don't have we don't have very active market this morning, but we're checking this is a second day play, ATLN. Yesterday we have a very nice movement up. I think Sharif probably takes some nice longs here. Look at this, how we hold the VWAP and the one round number. There was a very nice long here. Look, you have a very, very tight stop below $1 and a lot of movement upside. So we are waiting today for a second day movement, push around 135, 145, and we will short against this resistance of 150 if there is no volume. So we need to see volume going somewhere else. And if it pops around this area, we will short this one. That's the first setup we're waiting for. And the other one is CUPR. This is very interesting as well. And we are waiting for this VWAP rejection. Look, if you go back to this and you check the history of this stock, look at this. The stock moved up from $4 to 14, all the way down, market open. We saw this push here and fail of highs, and that was a very nice short. And that's what we are waiting for today, another push to probably VWAP or a little bit earlier maybe because we have some overhead resistance here in 620, 650s to go short against the VWAP and all the day fade all the day probably. The statistics said this stock might close red today, but you need to wait for a nice price to go in.
Yeah, I was wondering also if you have any thoughts on this name. It's already given back some of the moves, so I'm not sure if it'd be something you'd be able to short here at these levels, but MGN, this is Megan Holdings. When I checked, it was one of the top volume plays so far pre-market. You've got a $5.5 million market cap, float of about 26 million shares. No news from today, but apparently they're looking to do a 1 for 400 reverse split if they can get the approval. Is MGN the type of name that could potentially be on your radar, for example?
Not in my radar, but it is in the radar for other traders here in the room. For me, anything below 60 or 70 cents, it's a little bit difficult to trade because of the spread, tight spread. You know, we don't trade with 2 cents trading, so for decimals trading, so it's a little bit more difficult. But my traders are looking for a bounce as well to this 29.30 maybe to short there with a very tight stop and the same all-day fade probably. The stock is totally destroyed. If you put the daily, you see it's just zero and it probably worth zero. But you need a push to these 29.30 cents to short with kind of a better winning ratio and a much better risk reward. Right now here, it's a little bit 1-to-1 risk reward. If you are right, you're making 2-3 cents. If you're wrong, your stop is too far from the actual price. So for me, below 60 or 70 cents, sorry, it's a little bit more difficult to trade. I'm not a specialist, but definitely you could follow the same structure, price structure with VWAP rejection around this 30 cents price.
Great look, Luis. I know you're going to potentially be back on with us today at 1 p.m. on our midday show with Joe and Sharif. Where can the people find you online or on social media if they want to know more about what you do?
Well, if they use X, we are there, daytrading. And of course, they can contact us on email, info@daytrading.com, or of course, telephone, wherever. We are always in the social networks.
And sometimes you could even find Luis as A-Day Trading in our chat as well on YouTube. So thanks again here to Luis Barbado over at A-Day Trading in lovely Barcelona, Spain for that small cap and SpaceX content this morning. Have a good one.
Thank you very much, Adra.
All right, thank you, Luis. Can't wait to visit Barcelona, guys. All right, let's take a look at some of these analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off, as we typically do, with some downgrades. We're going to start off with Pinduoduo, guys, going from a buy to a hold, and an $80 price target. That's coming down from $145. We also have JD.com here, guys, down 1.3%, going from a buy to a hold as well, and having its price target almost cut in half here, guys. $27, that's down from $47. Once again, you're down 1 1/3%. FedEx with a buy rating, but reducing our price target here, guys. We're down 7% at this point. $326, that's down from $442 at Stifel. And then Carnival Cruise Lines, Sharif, watch over this. You're up 1/3 here, but price target to $36 here from $35 at Barclays. Now, moving forward, guys, let's take a look at some of the upgrades. Cerberus actually getting the nod despite being down 10 1/5. Outperform rating, but an increase of the price target, Neil, $280. That's up from $270 at Woodbush. I mean, tech bulls here, guys, right? Now, AMD also getting the nod, guys. We're looking at a buy rating there, 1.4% to the top side this morning, and a $670 price target. That's up from $455 at UBS. And then we have Zeta up 1.13% here with a buy rating. Price target increase to $28. That's up from $24 at B of A. And then Marvell also getting the nod here, Katina Man, 2.3% to the top side with a buy rating. $350 target, that's up from $321 at Stifel. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
4 names on the upgrade list, and thank you, Joe.
It's funny to see
one of them
on there, of course.
Yeah, Zeta, I don't really know them that much. We get a lot of questions about them in the chat, but 2 of them make sense to me, and the other one, last I checked, if you guide for declining margins, you're probably not usually going to get an upgrade. So Cerebrus getting one, it is what it is. You have to see what they thought about it before is usually what ends up mattering. Like you can get an upgrade, but they could have been pessimistic about them. So whatever, it doesn't make a difference. Like as far as I'm concerned, declining margins. The fact that it's getting a bit of a dead cat bounce here means it might not open up SSR like 10% down. It still could. I mean, it's actually pulling back a little bit here, but it almost to the T filled into the gap into yesterday's high. So I think that sets up this 212. I have this one looking for that short back into the prior day low. So I think this one is setting up that level. Upgrade, downgrade, doesn't really matter. You saw CCL with a downgrade. We didn't get too much of a chance to go over the earnings because they reported like right before the bell. Their guidance was a bit of an issue on EPS there, despite record revenues. And they did beat on EPS, but the guide was a bit of a problem. They were able to bounce a little bit here. But what's key about the CCL, it bounced pretty clean off 27 and recent support at the 50 period. So today, like after, it's only day 2, being able to hold 28 in the 200 period for the next couple of days could get a nice little resumption. I mean, the overall theme here, of course, is the strait opens up and travel gets back to normal. Oil prices come down. You get some upward momentum here in CCL, but the earnings got in the way of that. So they're going to have to hold this 28 the next couple of days to be able to resume the trend. I think that's something we can look forward to at the back end of the week. Rushi Shah here. Thoughts on rotating off AI to other sectors which have been lagging? Sectors which have been lagging. If there are talks of profit booking, lagging sectors should benefit. We were talking with Brian about that when he came on, obviously, and he always does a fantastic job. He likes some of the some names in the XBI. I like AbbVie, what they've been able to do there. I think that's a good place. Joe was talking about the banks yesterday. I think it makes a ton of sense. Some of the staples, which looked pretty good. You had Colgate was one that was brought to you by Brian as well. But you can look at Procter. I'm a fan of, but I like
I also like Walmart's probably a little more expensive. I like them too. But yeah, I think you can find some really good biopharma names. There's also a lot of M&A activity there, which then gives the whole space a bump. Swing for green. Good morning. Can you guys check out ACN? Well, I only chuckle anytime someone brings up Accenture because to me, and maybe not to everybody that watched the flash crash when it happened a very long time ago. Man, that was a long time ago. This is a stock I believe was the only one that was a large company that went to 1 cent during the flash crash. Actually went all the way down to 1 penny. Of course, they ended up breaking a bunch of those trades, but I don't know that I would say anything different when we're talking about what is very beleaguered. You can't tell me anything about this looks healthy. There's a small exception in that you have made a wipeout bottom that held the line yesterday. But I still am like hate when you have these kind of downward trends and then you flat bottom break. Yeah, everyone's gonna look for the gap fill here with Accenture. But until it proves it holds a higher low and can break out that first resistance, like that's a long way away. Like it could bounce $7, $8, $9, still not be able to hold that, break that first resistance level, and then you'd still be in a downward trend. So that can be a bit of a trap when something that's beaten up, like Nike's done. Lulu does this all the time. You're in a huge downward trend, it makes another flash low, there's like a small bounce, it's like, oh, this is it, but it doesn't get through any meaningful resistance, and so people buy that, and then it just resumes a downward trend. So that's where I'd be at with Accenture. Some of these names just can't get out of their own way, and that's not where I think the rotation is going. I think if you're rotating out of AI, you're probably looking to be staples, banks, those make sense. Healthcare, biopharma, those make sense to me as well. Probably a few other things we could think of, but those are the ones that off the top of the head that make the most sense.
Yeah, look, I'm glad Brian was on here. We've been talking about the XBI for a very, very long time. I didn't even actually notice that it had broken out like this. When it was over here just last week, it was like, this is the name, right? We've been buying, just to answer that first question there, we've been buying some J&J down there in the 220s, that's 240, that's been working out. We've been talking about Procter, we've been talking about all of these names in a rotation, and even the JP Morgan's, my main man over there, Joe, we've been buying these banks this whole year and it's been working out. And I recently did buy some Eli Lilly down there as well. So I just feel like all these names, just to get into some diversification is good. We sold some Marvell just on Friday before the rebalancing, and that was a good one. We actually were lucky enough to get near that top there of Marvell. So, just raising up some capital and getting out of some of these AI plays, because I sort of said my thing this morning that I did think that we are way overextended in some of these names. And, I don't think it's rocket science to understand that, but no, I really like XBI, these biotechs. It's one of the biggest ETFs I own are still NASDAQ and the Qs, the Qs and the SPY, so NASDAQ and the S&P. But this is my second largest holding in the ETF space. So yeah, I really like XBI here. I think it can even explode even higher from where we are now. And so this is the biotech space. So, really like all of that. I'm not big into energy or anything like that now. And, energy's at lows. USO just, XOM, all these names might be at good value spots, but there's USO down another 3%, and it's been a disaster for energy. I don't know what Trump is going to hang his hat on here after this is all said and done.
Oh, it's here.
But yeah, 107, 110 and change there as well for USO. So we'll have to watch out for this break. This is now like 2 weeks of just downside pressure here on the oil space. And, you're seeing names like an XLE. I don't necessarily want to hide out in this because I don't think you can. It's too violent. You don't get a big, huge dividend, 2 or 3%. I don't love this space, but yeah, I really like healthcare. And I think that that's the spot to look at if you're trying to diversify. And obviously the financials, we've talked about that a lot there. And even a name like a Lululemon, I think, some of these names have been beat up so badly that we talked about Nike a little bit there. Some of these names do have a chance to bounce. I don't think, retail is probably better to get an XRT or some sort of a ETF like that, but, watch out for some of these names. And I was just looking at Target yesterday, again, 135, that's been almost a double up for us as well. So, some of these names have just really started to go off, and Target's looking to break through that top as well right now. So there's a few few names here that have been, really solid. And Target even gives a better dividend than all these other names that we keep talking about. IBM keeps on getting hit. So, some of these names you just got to sort of grit your teeth and bear it, I guess, at some point. And hopefully you do get some nice bounces. I mean, even in a name like an Amazon where you can try to play some retail strength. It's Prime Day started yesterday. I don't think it's pretty much a nothing burger, but this is at your 200 period moving average as well for Amazon. So, you're getting pretty beat up in all the Mag 7 names. So, yeah, about that, I think the rotation should have started a long time ago, but it's really tough to pick and choose winners here. I think you just want to keep on, averaging into names that you like, and I think Amazon would fit that bill right here at your 200 period moving average. We talked about this before. This is right back to where it is back in December of 24. So you really haven't done much with Amazon, unless you're somehow able to sell the top and, pick up some lows. It's right back to where it was. So this is why I actually like, when you look at the Qs and you look at the SPY, sure, there's a lot of value in stock picking, but if you can't get out, then what you wind up doing is just kind of wind up holding the bag a lot of the time to bring it all the way back in. And, I'm speaking from experience. Like, I have all these names still in my portfolio, but you look at the NASDAQ and you say, well, look at the NASDAQ where it is here, and then look where it was back in December. You gotta go, if and when this loads. If you take this back where it was in December of 24, what we were just looking at right here, there it is right now. Look how high up, if you just held the NASDAQ, which is the Qs, then you are long at 530, 540. It's at 716 right now. So, there is benefits to obviously indexes and there's benefits to stock picking. So that's why I always say if you're really looking to diversify and you're getting nervous about everything, just go over to the SPY. You can buy the S&P 500. Sure, it's going to go up and down, 20% on a real bad year and go up 20% on a real good year. But overall, this is where the money's made, man. The rich keep getting richer by buying indexes. So watch out for SPY moving forward. All right, let's go back over to the desk. It's 8:51.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Apple here because some interesting stuff here with AAPL to be aware of. But let's start with INMD. This is in mode. Big move here to the upside for this company. Their catalyst here is that they received an unsolicited offer here, $16.20 per share cash buyout proposal from a CEO-led group. Apparently, it's for all outstanding shares. The board has actually formed an independent special committee to review this proposal. So keep an eye on INMD, guys, but also keep an eye on AAPL. A couple of different catalysts here. We've got China sales and also this foldable iPhone to be aware of.
Yeah, so this is the foldable iPhone. If we can show this here, Andre. This is expected to be released with the regular iPhone lineup in September. It is going to be very expensive. It's about $2,500 USD if you believe some of the reports. It is going to be a foldable, so I'm going to pause it here. This is going to be the outer screen, and it's going to be a lot wider and a lot shorter. So you're going to be able to hold it in your hand, but a lot of the critics so far are saying you can't really reach over with your thumb all that easily. The purpose of this, though, is to open up so that it becomes very iPad mini-like. And that's been the criticism so far of some of these foldable iPhones. When you open them up, they're a square, and they present no benefit to watching videos in landscape mode. So this is going to address that. Just to show you guys here some of the comparisons in size. This is the current iPhone 17 Pro Max. On the end there is the iPhone, whatever, Slim or whatever the hell they call it. In any event, this is going to be the Ultra, and it's only going to have 2 cameras, though, on the outside. It's not going to have Face ID, so apparently Apple's going back to the Touch ID on the side. It's going to be on the home button. We'll have to wait for confirmation of that. Separately, with respect to some of these China sales, so the morning note or the morning watch list did highlight the 19.2% reduction in foreign-made iPhones. What it neglects to identify, though, is the Q1 surge of over 40% for foreign-branded smartphones, specifically Apple, 25% in Q1. Then you had a flattening out in the month of April, where it was positive 1.8%. Now, the May quarter presents a unique type of time in the year for Apple smartphone sales. Although a lot of people are waiting for the new releases of the 18, as well as the new products that come out in September. So historically, the May to August quarter, pretty slow, Adara.
Would you buy one of those foldables, Sharif?
I'm going to. This is going to be on sale in September.
Oh, nice. Okay. Would you guys buy the foldables, and would you buy or sell Apple stock today?
Well, I mean, I'm not an Apple user, but I'll tell you right, the first thing I did, I looked at that, I turned to Sean, I go, this would be perfect for my mom's.
like for anybody that uses, like she'll use the iPad primarily because, you know, she needs to blow it up and whatnot. So like basically almost never uses their iPhone or as much as you could, but that could be like that perfect complement. So I think there's a market for it for sure. You know, Apple, at some point you just trust them to be able to make the right things because they usually will enter the fray for a product when they're sure that people are going to want it. Right? Like they don't worry about being the first to get the foldable. It's like, okay, well, let's figure out what people actually want with these foldables, and when we have, then we'll go for it. All of this said, like today, I don't know, we haven't seen that 290. I probably said this it wasn't last week, the beginning of the week. I'd like that 290 level for support. Yesterday, it double bottomed at 294. Again, pre-market here, lows of 294. So if this market gets weak enough to get through the 94, I suppose we are looking at that 90 again. It just hasn't really come into place since setting it out. But yeah, it actually looks like a 294 flat bottom break. So I think waiting down and around, it's probably closer to 288, 289 is the actual low, but start looking for a bounce off the 290 level. There's been like a bit of a consolidation happening here on Apple, and I think when the market gets down, it tends to hold up a little bit better. I mean, this has nothing to do with the phone. I'm just sort of talking about the technicals here, as we are getting a little bit, not much, but a little bit of a curl here in the NASDAQ. Right? Like we're still at the bottom end of the range, and we're still getting a little bit of a curl here. So I do suspect that if we lose the bid, right around the 90, it'd start looking long. But that bottom's closer to 288.50 that I'll be interested in. We like that last week, and I'll like it again today if we get there.
Yeah, I think Apple's a decent place to hide out as well in the market here that doesn't have a pure AI sort of threat to it. With, like I was saying, about all this customer acquisition costs of AI and everything. And this is going to cost a lot to switch people over to that phone, especially at $2,500. We'll see if there is a buyer. I mean, Sharif just mentioned that, and Neil gave a good case there. I don't think it's really pushes the needle for Apple. I wouldn't buy or sell the stock on anything like that. The iPhone is what the iPhone is, and it's going to keep on pushing this business. The services are great. I mean, people keep on paying for services, and Apple's part of that. I'm more excited for the AirPods. I feel like, you know, the cameras outside there helping you with some of those decisions of, you know, what those glasses are trying to do. These AirPods could probably do the same thing. I worry a little bit about, you know, how well they fit in the ear for activity, like the glasses. I see a lot of people wearing them for baseball and just taking different videos of them, hockey and things like that. I think it's pretty cool. I wonder if the AirPods can do the same thing. But for me, I just think Apple, the innovation's kind of cool to see what they're doing. It's nothing new, of course. It's not like the Fold hasn't existed. And I don't think it moved the needle for Samsung. So I'm going to say the same thing for Apple. Probably doesn't really matter. But if every other name is at the 200 period moving average, including Google and Amazon, and I think Google's even below it now, right? All these names, no, Google still has to get to it, 320. But right now, Apple, I feel like if you're going to wait for something, you might as well just wait to see what winds up happening over the next couple months and see if you can get into this 280, 270 area before you start buying it. The last time I bought it was all the way on a 200 hold down here. You know, but like I said, that's why stock picking is great, but you know, you got to get some out when it comes up to the top. And this might be a decent spot to get some out of Apple because it's broken through the 50 period moving average. So can you look at Qs? Yeah, I mean, we just did sort of look at the Qs not too long ago. I have it written down here on the sticky note today as the #1 trade idea is going to be the TQQs right into here. So I like to short if we can rip up to some levels. And I wrote down 76.50 for the TQQs, but since you asked about the Qs, we'll go over the same type of thing. And it was just yesterday's high levels that I was sort of trying to find out here with the market. So the Qs, it would be the 720 area. I like to see if the market does rally a little bit here today. I'm nervous for Micron. I think there will be some nervous hands in the midday. I think Micron can rip near the end of the day as people start to position themselves for the report. But I think this is a decent level to look to fade off of 720 on the Qs. So if you relate that to the TQs, and if you even want to wait for that level, then give it all the way to 724, that high from yesterday, fine. But that was a real nice rally back in the market, and then it just got hit, right? All the way back, couldn't break through 720. So for me, the 720 to 721, 722 area on the NASDAQ is where we want to go short. It's my #1 trade idea, and that's what it is on the TQQs as well. So if you're going to look in here, it's the exact same trade as yesterday. So there it is on the 1 minute chart. There's 76.50. So I'm just looking at that level to see what winds up happening here. And I think it's a short for today, but we'll have to wait. Like, you still got to go up. So I just thought, you know, if there's some exuberance, and remember, I write these things down when we're all the way up here. Like we were at 76 when I wrote this down, or even, you know, earlier. So yeah, it's now come back in. So I guess I wish I didn't write down the short, but that is what I did, and hopefully it comes back up into these levels. So I thought 76 was where we were at, so 50-cent bump. So maybe now 76 is where the party starts, but we'll wait for it. Thank you so much for the super chat. I want to thank everybody on TikTok and on YouTube here for all your support, and we continue to watch that. Shout out to Bravely over there on TikTok as well, and make sure you do sign up. You can get for $5 a month, and I don't have this promo button, but maybe you do over there, Andre. But for $5 a month, you can get the watch list. That is our new membership only watch list. It's Sharif's morning note. It has all the stories that we're about to talk about. It has technical levels. It has good trade ideas on there. It digs more deep. It digs deeper than just the headline. And I think that some of you have requested that. She puts a lot of time and effort into the formatting of this and getting the stories out right to you guys. So for only $5 a month, not only do you become a member, you get some emojis and little cool things in the chat, but you also get access to the morning note, which is just a great read. So for $0.25 a day, you can grab that, and we often get people sending in memberships. So, you know, make sure you go over to YouTube and, you know, somehow access the free memberships that get dropped off. Just a little checkbox that you can do in your YouTube account. So, yeah, that's it. NASDAQ just dancing around here a little bit. It's 9 a.m.
We got something on
Broadcom.
OpenAI and Broadcom here. OpenAI and Broadcom unveil LLM optimized intelligence processor. So that just hit the wire. About a $10 bounce initially here. So, okay, well, I see some wicks that are a little bit higher than that. So maybe it got to $3.99. Anyways, well, it's up $10 right now, but it might have gone all the way to $3.99 here as a nice little spike. So OpenAI and Broadcom unveil LLM optimized intelligence processor. That's with the market sliding down. So a little bit of strength coming into Broadcom on that news. At least that looks a little bit good for today. And right to yesterday, I was telling Sean, like, not everything bounced. There were a lot of the big, like, index names were bouncing, like the Mag 7. I guess Broadcom doesn't count, but it's one of the top 10. So yeah, you got to count them. But all of those types of names bounced with the exception of Tesla. Tesla did not out of the Mag 7. And it goes right into these levels. Can it hold on? I think will be the key. 90 to 95 is where this one turned. These levels, I'm talking about any of the names that bounced heavy. You get there again today. I think the first obvious thing to do is going to be looking for fades, at least in names that don't have a positive news spin for it. So yeah, good look here for Broadcom. And the actual intelligence processor is called, because I just saw in another headline, it's called Jalapeno. Right. So the processor is called Jalapeno.
That's spicy.
Hopefully, yeah, I was going to say, hopefully it's a spicy one. I like jalapenos.
Yeah, me too.
A little spice. Gotta have some spice in your life, Sharif.
All right, guys, 753.5 is where we closed out yesterday on the SPY. We're just a little bit above that. We're up 0.33% here, trying to bounce off yesterday's sell-off. 735.75 is where we're currently trading. So we're just going to look to yesterday's closing print. That's going to be support level 1. We're looking for 753.5 to hold up. But I should point out that 752.5 is where the 4-hour chart found multiple areas of support. You can see no closing prints below that. In fact, we were actually bouncing off that specific level. So you can look at it as a bit of a dollar range. If we start catching a bid, we're just going to look to that $10 level, Adara, 740 as resistance.
Definitely don't resist signing up for that Trader TV Live watch list. It is free, FREE free, provides you with the biggest headlines that came out pre-market. This comes at around 8 a.m., so anything that happened last night or before that 8 a.m. period, it'll be on this list, including earnings that are coming up that already happened, economic data on watch that day. What are you waiting for? Sign up right now. Now, one story that's not going to be on the watch list because it just came out is that OpenAI Broadcom headline. I'm going to put it on the screen for you guys so you all can see it. This apparently reported by Bloomberg that they're also citing comments from the CEO of Broadcom, Hock Tan, again, unveiling this new AI chip called Jalapeno, the first ever intelligence processor coming from OpenAI. So be aware. If I get more details, of course, I will keep you posted. But let's talk about Micron. I spoke about earnings that are going to be on watch that you can also find on our Trader TV Live watch list. MU reports at 4 p.m. We're seeing analysts raise their expectations even with just the hours ahead of this report.
Yeah, this is really aggressive, Adara. But if I could just add to some of the reports here for Broadcom and OpenAI. Apparently, this chip built from the ground up for future LLMs. Apparently, that's what they're looking for here. Design to production in 9 months, guys. Accelerated by OpenAI's model. So they're actually using LLM and AI to accelerate the design process. We've been looking for this to happen in the drug industry. It's happening in the chip industry. It's going to deliver performance per watt better than the current state of art based on early testing. It expands OpenAI's full stack platform from products to models and now to chips because they're involved in the design, right? It was their models that did this. It's going to be deployed at a gigawatt scale with data center partners over multiple generations. This is just some summaries here from the report, but let's get to the big one here. Micron after the bell. And this has been a monumental year for the chip maker, over $1 trillion market cap, achieved 750% increase in the trailing 12 months. And that's why we're expecting a very aggressive move after hours, plus or minus 13%. That is the implied volatility. So be on the lookout there. Some of the reasons this has been so strong of a name is because it doesn't have enough inventory to meet demand. In fact, what they're saying now is they're only going to be able to meet 50 to 66%, so half to 2/3 of the medium-term demand. And so what that has done is it's really helped them boost up the price in their long-term agreements that they're signing with some of their clients. And with those higher costs come higher margins. In fact, analysts are expecting 81.6% gross margins for the current quarter. That is a prohibitively high number for a physical product if you follow that kind of thing. Last but not least, Micron is spending alone $25 billion in CapEx just in full year 26 to expand production. That doesn't include what SK Hynix is spending. That doesn't include what Samsung is spending. And what you can read through this, or what the analysts are reading through this, is 26 might be as good as it gets for pricing. They're starting to think 27 and 28, Adara, could bring some relief.
Yeah, and Micron here, we'll have to wait and see if they do deliver. SPCX also on Watch the Information reporting that XAI is doubling down on video and image generating tools. Not much of a move there, but that information report could be on watch here for SPCX. How do you guys feel about MU, though, today?
It's all that CapEx that also is the SK Hynix, there's a reason why they want to come to the U.S. markets with that ADR, so they can raise some more money. That's going to happen in the coming weeks, and when it does, that's just another point of pressure, I think, on some of these names. So tonight, it's going to be about the guy. It's going to be about where you see those margins going, and I feel it's going to be under pressure, even with the beat. That's just, call it a gut feel, but it's just the way the market seems to be headed. Like if they... the biggest fear would be if Micron says they're going to debt markets tonight. If you hear that, then we're going to have problems tomorrow morning. Like, obviously, you don't know that that's going to be true, but it's like down the line, all we keep hearing is about we need to raise more money, need to raise more money, need to raise more money. But at the same time, if we're starting to turn the corner, and now people are starting to say you're going to turn the corner with these supply constraints for next year, well, you have these two things colliding potentially in the back half of the year. And it's been a great rally, no questions asked for Micron. They just got the CDR yesterday, so anyone, if you're a Canadian investor, you can actually, the CDR is literally 130 or something yesterday that debuted. Coincidentally enough, just in time before earnings. It's probably not a coincidence at all. But yeah, I still think that after earnings we could be looking at 860 there. I'm looking primarily, I'll be looking at SpaceX and Intel in the chip space today for myself, because I don't want to be messing around with something prior to earnings. And we talked about those, we'll call it the morning run levels from yesterday, where everything seemed to make a turn. Those set some obvious places where you can look for a bit of resistance. So I want to be fading those on pops. Intel, I also like a 135 to kind of see how it pivoted off the 135, and then that's a pre-market high. So those two levels, I'll be looking for fades there. I'll stay away from Micron till tomorrow. And just because the CDR is there, it's not like I'm going to be buying it in my long-term account. I think after earnings, we're going to get a pretty good, after earnings, and then again after the SK Hynix debut, I think we're going to get a pretty good litmus. I wouldn't decide anything on that until after SK Hynix comes with the ADR. I'd like to see that reaction just as much as the earnings.
Yeah, we've talked about Micron a little bit here ad nauseum, but I do like the short better than the long, just heading into earnings. We talked about selling it a couple days ago. That's in the past, so who cares? $1,000 could get a psychological bounce. I mean, I remember sitting here, and I always talk about this story, and plug your ears if you heard it before. But SanDisk on their report, it was a good report, but they were hitting it after, it was like about 1,200, and I have to look up the exact date where it was, and because I remember we were talking about it live on the show, we had it here. It went down to $1,000 on their earnings call, and I think it was right into here. It must have been, yeah, it was about 1,100. It fell back into 1,000 right there. I'm going to say, was it April? That makes sense, I guess. And then it just took off from there. And this was already after SanDisk went hard into that earnings report, fell in, and then just ripped off of that. So I could, if we're going to look at it, I think Micron probably has a similar fate today where, you get smacked down to the downside if they talk about, what if they have to go, they shouldn't have to tap the bond market or any credit markets or anything like that because I think their production is fine. I don't think they need more money to produce more chips, unless they're trying to open up more fabs themselves. But Micron down to the downside today, I think $1,000. I think would be something that we could watch out to see if there's going to be a hold or not of the $1,000 mark. So I would, as Neil said, it's tough to trade these names on earnings day. Especially when it's, earnings day is tomorrow, but earnings night, which will be tonight. You never know what this market's going to do. I expect actually a ramp into the close. So I'd almost wait for Micron, come back like around 3:30. Then I could see us pumping into the close as people get excited for it and start to reposition. But for right now, look at what the NASDAQ's doing, right? You're still bleeding. And it's crazy because I wrote the short down on the NASDAQ here at 8 o'clock. Now it's 9 o'clock and you're down about almost that's 150 points straight to the downside on the NASDAQ. So, yeah, I would say that Micron short's probably already gone. I'll have to give it a couple more minutes. NVIDIA's also bleeding too, right? Wow, okay, there it goes. Yeah, apparently we saw that Nancy Pelosi bought some more Intel. NVIDIA did the downside there with Broadcom news, with was it OpenAI or Anthropic? But either way, NVIDIA coming to the downside right now. That does not bode well for this market and anybody hoping to hold on to NVIDIA at $200. That was yesterday's kind of level, and that's now broken. And so I think we got to think about going short now on NVIDIA if it comes back up to this 201 spot. So, yeah, we're in the building today. Riki there in the chat. And we're going to put some trades on for you, but not until 9:30. So NVIDIA short might be added to my short list today.
Tons of different ways to talk about the semiconductor story. Sean mentioned NVDA here struggling with that 200. You also have that new Broadcom announcement here with that chip with OpenAI Jalapeno. Apparently they've started sending samples to OpenAI. You've got upgrades with AMD and ARM, analyst price target increases. There's a lot of different ways to take this.
Yeah, well, let's build on the custom ASICs angle, Adair, with Broadcom and OpenAI. Qualcomm throwing their hat into the ring as well. They're going to do a deal. It's a co-chip design with TikTok's parent ByteDance, and it's specifically for application-specific integrated circuits. And this is a big moat change here for Qualcomm because we all know them to be mobile chip makers, high efficiency, low power yields. This is a completely different take. Let's talk about this though, because the specific proprietary engine behind it is actually quite interesting. So it's going to use high-speed connectivity. It's going to use intellectual property from an acquisition that Qualcomm made. Alpha Wave Semi, they acquired it for $2.4 billion, and they're wasting no time putting their IP to work. Let's also talk about the dual chat angle to this. So they're explicitly optimized for inference workloads, and this we've been seeing a lot more of, right? All the new chips are coming out specifically for agentic AI, aka inference, as opposed to LLM training, which is kind of like the older chip designs and something that the GPUs still accelerate better at than custom ASIC. So it's a dual bow. It's a widely popular Gen AI chatbot. They're shifting away kind of from the more expensive bottleneck graphic processors, GPUs, in favor of these custom ASICs. Last but not least, by establishing ByteDance as a marquee multi-million-dollar unit anchor customer, Qualcomm is kind of forcefully breaking into this duopoly that we have right now between Broadcom and Marvell, right, in the design and production of custom ASICs. But we should note here that during Marvell's last call, earnings report, on the earnings call, the CEO made it very clear that the company was taking a bit of a different approach, right? They're going to get into the photonics and the other parts of the AI or the semi stack, as opposed to just being exclusively a custom ASICs designer, right? So this could be a Qualcomm and Broadcom thing now. Let's see it there.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. How do you guys feel about these AI plays today, including Qualcomm, Broadcom, et cetera?
Specifically, Broadcom, I guess, might get to be in its own little bucket following that news. But for Qualcomm specifically, you can look at this and say, okay, it's holding up. It's still green on the session. It's basically the same as the NASDAQ, but yet another name that is breaking the 50-period moving average. You got that gap down from yesterday.
it tried to bounce. There were names, and if you remember this at the open, there were names that were able to bounce and break out and then pull back. Qualcomm was a name that bounced into pre-market highs, lost it at about 209, same pre-market levels today it's dipping into. So that one, if that can't get above like the 209, like that structure doesn't even look good at all. Already talked a little bit about Intel, what we like for that, and some of the other chip makers. So not to double down, but Qualcomm, no, that doesn't look any more bullish. Excuse me, than some of the other ones. And I was just having conversation in the chats, and viewers like, well, when do we get the president posting to get the market to bounce? For what it's worth, that usually happens. If it does happen, it's usually sometime in the afternoon. Like most of the times, there's like a positive headline. And on the note of the overall market, we're talking about the drop, and I don't think we'll get a chance to mention this. Gold and silver are getting wrecked this morning. GLD's down 3.3%. It's not just that we lost the 200 period, lost huge support here. Like the March bottom when things were unwinding, that double bottom just got lost on both of these. So I'm looking at SLV today, also bleeding. Pretty similar structure. Like flat bottom broke yesterday, monster continuation today. It's now 5% down. So we'll have to, levels. It was at 55 when I was looking at it earlier. So obviously it's not anywhere close to 55 now. So VWAP on the way back up, a bit of a thing. You can probably stick a fork in the 55 level at this particular point. But yeah, gold, silver, also getting the ire. And when you've got the Fed talking about the possibility of raising rates, it's kind of what you get.
Look, I mean, I started the show at 8 o'clock talking about how expensive AI is and how people are going to, soon realize that there's no money in any of these LLMs and what they're doing right now, and they're just basically paying for it on the back of shareholders. So not a great time, in my opinion, to be invested in any of this stuff. I have short TQ, and I'm invested in it all. Short TQ, short Google, short SpaceX here today. And, again, these are written down before 8 a.m. So at the end of the day, I do think that there's going to be some pain today in the market at least. I mean, and that was when the NASDAQ was up here, I was still thinking short. And now it's broken back down below. So I think waiting for something like VWAP, and it is on the back of some of these plays. I mean, although the NASDAQ's still up, NVIDIA's down, right? We've already seen Apple, again, obviously not a semi-name, but there goes NVIDIA losing that 200 level. That's not great. And I think I recently bought this at 212, probably right in here off this 50-period moving average. It's now fallen back in. So this is a good level to look for some support. I mean, those little lows that were made in May, early May. So again, you've given up all of May and all of June, all the way back into the portfolio, just sitting here on a non-dividend paying stock, of course. 196.50. That could be an area where we might get a bounce. I mean, that goes all the way back. And again, sitting in Nvidia, you could be sitting in there since October and not gotten a return. So I'm just a little nervous about all of this stuff. There's definitely strength in the broader markets. I mean, the Dow was up yesterday, if you believe that or not. But right into there, 196, I think, is a good hold for NVDA. So I'm going to fade any pops today. There's your 200-period moving average into 201. Maybe we get that. It might be a little bit overblown here about this. It's just they're having to restart these, GB300s every 66.5 days. Apparently, there's some sort of a bug that's in the driver. So that's what's being circulated right now. And of course, NVIDIA known as a top-tier software name as well. So if they're having driver issues, that's not great. I mean, it kind of goes against, what they're trying to support there. And they say that not only do they have the best chips in the game, but also the software that matches it. And so right now, if there's going to be some problems in that, then that's not great. And we did hear that Nancy Pelosi bought a few more shares of Intel, so that created that little bit of a bump up. So I think if there's going to be anyone to possibly buy today, it's going to be Intel, but I'm trying to look short on pretty much everything. So what's up, Noria GGD Home Improvements? ADTX.
Oh, that was that penny stock from yesterday.
Oh, was it? Okay, I don't.
It did like 1-point-something billion shares because it was like 3 cents to that's right. This is the one. 3 cents to 6 cents yesterday. It'll probably do over 1 billion shares again today because doing 1 billion shares when you're 3 cents is not that impressive. You're doing 1 billion shares when you're 50 cents. If penny stock's like 50 cents to $1 and does 1 billion, that's huge. This one bit of a different story. So just play the range has been holding again. Like the 3 cent level was a dip in the afternoon and a breakout. So that's pretty much all you've got going for this one. And a ton of volume. Just remember, 3 cents to 4 cents is a
that's a good bump. It's a 30 to 33% bump. So you got to be able to play it as if it was $3 to $4. So just trying to move those decimal places if you can. Adam James abroad, morning gents. ADTX, you mentioned this one as well. VTAC, you're looking at PLSM. That was another small cap where I saw FRTT. And Wendy's, a lot of people talking about Wendy's. Apparently, in the chat, people are saying Wall Street bets are pushing this. It was the story from yesterday about the new COO, and now the 30% short flow getting it a bit of a squeeze. But we had earnings last night, and you're to the downside, CBRS. Not as much as I was expecting. They were able to bounce a little bit.
A bounce here for CBRS. Just so you guys know as well, White House announcing that President Trump will be headlining a conference on Friday. I don't have any details as to what this is, but just be aware. We also have to be aware, though, of CBRS first earnings report since the IPO, not too well received here, Sharif.
It's not, Adara. There's a lot of reasons why. They did beat expectations on their core revenue, which they were pounding the table on pre-IPO. They really wanted you to focus on their core revenue so we wouldn't read through some of the other data center losses. They also narrowed their core net loss down to just $2.5 million. But again, as Adara mentioned, not good enough here. Let's talk about some of the reasons why the market's a little tepid on Cerberus. Okay, so they have a $20 billion, 750 megawatt project with OpenAI, right? But that's the only big deal that they have. Joey and I were talking about this on the midday yesterday. A lot of concentration risk, perhaps with one of the models. Not saying it has, but perhaps it's seen better days. I'm speaking, of course, about OpenAI. Moreover, they also gave OpenAI warrants, a warrant to buy about 33.4 million shares of their common stock, which obviously could lead to dilution issues and give OpenAI basically free ownership here just for doing business with them. Let's also talk about tech analysts. They're noting that Cerberus's immediate stock upside entirely hostage to the physical infrastructure deployment rather than demand. And this has become the problem here. So for them to actually reach some of their financial targets that they've earmarked for next year, they gotta get a 250 megawatt data center online by mid-27. If they don't, they'll have failed to do that. Last but not least, Cerberus takes a bit of a different approach here to how they design their chips. And this was the unique thing about them. They use something called SRAM rather than HBM or DRAM. This SRAM is great because it's, from a production perspective, because it's easy to design with the chips on wafer. The problem is, though, it limits how much upside that chip has. So the lifetime for that chip, a little bit shorter than others, perhaps, Dara, why this one sold off post-IPO.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they're telling us we had year-over-year growth, but we haven't seen any other reports from them. So this is just based on their filings. Also, guys, worth noting, keep an eye on USO. Just seeing reports from the Lebanese State News Agency that Israeli drone targets have targeted a vehicle near Kfar and southern Lebanon. If I get more details, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I think we're at the point now where those headlines don't matter. USO's been dropping, and it just continues to drop. It's not even, you're not even getting like a tiny algo spike on those anymore. Like, it's almost like they're completely ignoring them. We're not going to, I don't want to ignore Cerberus today, or Cerberus. Doesn't really matter how you say it. I think 185, the price the issue was, not where it opened up. It opened up at $350. I think that 185 gets met after these earnings. So in light of that, it's already bounced enough to not be 10% down. Still going to like prior lows, 212. Look for that as a resistance and a turning point there for them. You can call it sentiment. You could call it issues with margins or margin guidance, like whichever one, pick and choose. I think either one is a reason why this can head further to said downside. I kind of joked about it yesterday, thinking that back and forth, SpaceX, which one gets to their IPO issue price first, SpaceX or CBRS. I kind of felt the whole time it was going to be CBRS, and now it's back to a fair fight. Right? Like SpaceX is about $17 away at 152, and this one you're about $22 away. So they're both within striking distance. I call it a push, but still believe Cerberus is going to get there. So we're looking for fates today.
Yeah, I mean, I was same thing. CBRS, there's Cerberus. Again, it's a disaster, right? I mean, there's that $200 break. I think you want to pay for shorts and make sure that you do take a short break of $200. I mean, not well received, obviously, on earnings. You're going to go into SSR and have to just wait. I mean, I know it looks like we've broken below that $200 marker right there, and I just think that it's tried to hold it, even though it broke below that. I mean, I think if you're going to use that marker there as your out, that's only $199. So I think you want to take more than $1 on a 200 break, but that could be your first line to think about getting out. And maybe if it breaks 200, you only give yourselves like $1 or $2 worth of risk back up to the upside. But look at the spread is 50 cents. I think it's going to be real spready off the open. So a big risk really to take it there. We don't have SpaceX on the board today. It's just one of those names.
The first time.
I feel like it should always be on there. But yeah, okay, well, obviously we have some bad wicks there. We'll try to clear out some of those. But I'm much more interested in this name. Like watching out for that 147. Like I said, that was basically one of the best trades in SpaceX history. Actually, was yesterday when I looked back at it. There was just actually my charts don't go that far out. Just want to show you that level because I have it written down here on the sticky note as a level today, right? So there's 147 yesterday. Maybe we move it over. There's 147 yesterday in the pre-market that bounced off of perfectly right there on a flush. So like yesterday, I'm sure the boys were watching SpaceX. I mean, that right there, and I don't know if they had this long or not, but that was basically the golden standard.
Through 150.
Yeah, through 150. Yeah, exactly. So that's another good one right there. Breaking back up. Because yesterday you don't really know. Like that's a tough trade. You might even be waiting for the short to break there, and that's what I'm doing today. Is waiting for that 147 to break short. But then that bust through 150 was great because then you have basically $3 worth of risk, which we would have put in, right? So that's you put your stop $3, and then the thing just rips up. That's $9 right there before it even stops. So that's 3 to 1. And then obviously you're going to get some out, and then you can't extend. You have no idea if it's going to extend out. But we hold VWAP all day yesterday until the very end of the day. And now you're breaking underneath it, and now you're turning around again on SpaceX. We just bounced off 150. So I wrote down a 160 break long if that happens, right into here, because when we broke it, we went to 166. I think you can give yourself a little bit of room there on the 160 break and on the 147 break. So let's just wait for SpaceX here today, but I do like it. It's on the note and something definitely to look out for. Like it just went 151 to 154 there. So $3 in a couple minutes. I mean, the juice is still loose on SpaceX. So I think you can definitely have a quick look at that one at some point here today. And the imbalances, I know we got to go back there because we still have a couple more names, but the imbalances are now out in the NASDAQ. There's your ADTX, which we've gotten some talks about. That's 3 million. It's not huge. IBIT, we haven't even looked at Bitcoin. That's a sell. And there's what's happening to SpaceX right now. So you get a little bit of a buy side action in SPCX. So that's what's creating this move higher. And oh, there's Nvidia on a buy as well. So here we go now. Maybe the market does give us an opportunity to short. All right, let's go back over Google, then FedEx, and then the market opens.
We'll get to Google quickly here. In the Dow, Verizon's going out.
Yeah, June 29th, Monday. This is the first structural change since Nvidia replaced Intel back in 24. I wonder how they feel about that now. All right, guys, this is interesting, though, because the Dow is price weighted, so it doesn't move like the other indexes. So let's talk about this. So Google's trading, say, around $346 compared to Verizon's $47. So Alphabet's price is roughly 7 times higher than the stock is replacing. And because the Dow weights members solely by share price, a 1% move in Alphabet will now inflict 700% more mathematical point volatility on the overall index than a 1% move on Verizon ever could. So expect more volatility from the Dow as a result of Google's inclusion. The inclusion announcement, though, comes at a very strategic time because we saw Google have its worst day in over a year, CapEx being feared, as well as the exodus of talent from DeepMind. So that's obviously something to keep in mind as well. And then if you're looking for post-inclusion buying, passive buying, like some of these indexes like we see with the NASDAQ and the S&P, don't be ready for that because that's not going to happen here. Very, very few indexes track the Dow as opposed to the S&P and the Qs.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 2 minutes here before the bell. Let's go over FedEx quickly as well. This actually was a beat as far as we could see, but guidance a little bit of an issue for FDX today. Sharif,
yeah, $25 billion a day, EPS of 631. Adjusted EPS also came in ahead of expectations. The problem was a new calendar year outlook with EPS guidance 1690 to 1810 below expectations.
FedEx, Google, thoughts? Good luck at the bell, everybody.
Well, I'm impressed by the balance on FedEx. There, we come back to the desk. Yeah, I'm impressed by the bounce on FedEx. A little surprised they're able to do this, but here's your, just going to throw a little cold water. If it doesn't get through the 200 period in 320, none of the bounce is even going to matter. Alphabet actually sets up better than most if we can close any candles over 350. Because there's a gap fill on Alphabet, but I'm leaning to the short side at least early. Like the first places I'll be looking at are SpaceX could get up there.
We'll see. It might pop. Silver, going to look for a pop and fade on them. We've got Intel on the mind. And we didn't really talk too much about Bitcoin because I'm looking silver first. But Bitcoin's kind of like the same thing. They're both trend down here. If silver doesn't cooperate, then I'm short the pop back into the prior close on this bad boy. And then Cerberus on earnings. That's another name we want to play into. They might have got a buy and bounce there. I didn't see them. A bit of a pop. I didn't see them on mine, but maybe they caught one. No, it's still that ADTX there, GPUS. The same ones that Sean was mentioning from before. So yeah, a little bit of a bleed. Although the NASDAQ didn't actually turn red, we're still 0.1% to the upside for now. We still have, of course, Micron earnings after the bell, so a lot to get into. And big shout out to VinFast, ticker VFS, for sponsoring the opening bell, which is right about now. The market and casino are now open.
All right, welcome everybody. The market is now open, and yeah, FedEx, man. I mean, what a monster FedEx has been this pre-market, right? It's just been absolutely mooning here. Yeah, unfortunately, our stocks charts don't change here early. But there's what FedEx looks like, man. 295 up to 320 right now. FedEx just absolutely ripping right now is FDX. But yeah, our charts aren't changing here, so I'm just gonna Well, now I don't have a level 2, so we'll have to wait for SpaceX at some point. Hopefully that will come out here. I don't know, it's 154 and change. This is what's happening right now with SpaceX. I did want to look over at Google as well and have a quick little look there. Yeah, I can't flip. So,
you just got to stay on the stocks. Yeah, like I'm on Cerberus, so I have to stick on that for a little bit here, but no pop into that 212 on the imbalance, but it is already headed to the downside. Maybe now it's going to work. Let's just give it a shot. No. Here we go. I'll show you the guys the black charts, which is perfectly fine. Like, this is what I look off of anyways. So you are getting a bounce up here in SpaceX. Looking at first, pre-market highs are at 57. The 60 level is a bit of a pivot. So I'm looking for a pop and fade into that level on SpaceX. Still seeing a little bit of buying coming into silver, but until SLV gets to at least 53.5, which is VWAP, won't be trying to get any shorts in that. Down 5% is SLV. So looking pretty nasty. And by the way, the NASDAQ just went red. So the NASDAQ just briefly tagged red. No, I can't flip to the NASDAQ either. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Michael?
Oh, no, it's starting to work. Here we go.
Check the message.
Now we're good. The NASDAQ just flipped into the red and a little bit of a bounce. So we're back into the green on the NQ. But instantly, we started in some selling in the overall market, despite, SpaceX, a little bit of a bounce there, slight bounce in silver and gold. Maybe not enough to get me off looking short first.
Okay, so quotes are now back, so that's pretty good. So, okay, let's just continue to watch out what's going on right there. Yeah, there's Nvidia, so a nice little bounce off 200. We talked about potentially that being an issue there. It's going upside. We have Google written down as a long, not a short, on our sticky note, and so Google long at 347 is a trade that we're looking at. That's trying to come back in, and then our next one there is SpaceX, and that's a 155er right now. So that's not moving around too much either, bouncing off its 200 period moving average. You're going to give it a couple seconds. What's up, Adara?
Here in Lululemon, LULU. No news on this one today that I could find, but a lot of our chat asking about Lululemon yesterday and today. Keep an eye on Lululemon ahead of its shareholder meeting tomorrow. So tomorrow you have Lululemon catalyst. Today, as far as I can tell, you don't, but good push to the upside for Lulu. Nike, of course, also in focus today. We know yesterday after the bell, they announced Matthew Friend is out as CFO, and they're bringing in new CFO, David Denton, coming from Pfizer, which he left a couple days ago. So interesting look here for Nike. I also want to let you guys know here for the market overall, you do have at 10 a.m. new home sales units and new home sales change month over month. That's coming through at 10. Stay tuned. Back to you.
I'm going to start the short right now. First position for me, oops, I don't have my stream deck up, is the short of the futures. And so we're just going to wait to see if that winds up working out here. It's not near the prices that we wanted. We had written down here 76.50. So I think we can give it a break until we get up to there. We'll just keep on holding this. I'm going to get a little bit more here at 76 if we're able to do that on the TQs. And then just get light on this name and wait, right? I think that's the big thing for me to do right now. We've already sort of took I tried to take it off VWAP. Basically, we ripped up into those levels, and it was just the NASDAQ really took off there. And as I was saying before, I'm not like a firm believer in the NASDAQ today. We'll see if it winds up working out. Yesterday was a bad day. We'll see if is there some continuation to the Qs right now. But I'm going to wait for 76 to average in and let this one go up. So this is not a name that we really need to worry about too much right now. We did have Alibaba down there near $100. Near $100.
200.
Nice little bounce off. Yeah, I wish 200. Nice little, well, not really. I'm not long enough. But down into here, we'll wait to see what winds up happening with Alibaba. Nice little hold there. NASDAQ coming back in just a little bit. Eli Lilly had a little bit of a bump to start the day off there, which was a good one, up 2%. So there goes Eli Lilly. As we said, the XPIs, the J&Js of this world, names that need to be bought on any NASDAQ.
Colgate.
There goes 240 right there for J&J. I mean, this one, we had started talking about it. You guys are always asking about diversifying. We did mention this. I did mention this anyways at 222, as well as that XPI. So I'm glad that Brian's on top with those ones as well. Apple, good story. Let's wait. 295 there is what we're battling with right here. It's just kind of choppy right now in the middle. This is why we're focusing on shorting the Qs right now into the NASDAQ, just looking for a little bit of weakness. We talked about yesterday 720. You guys mentioned that in the chat, and 720 came and went yesterday. We'll see what happens here today if that gets going.
For the small cap traders, I guess the squeeze is on for Wendy's. It's halted to the upside. $8.60 is the current tap. That would be basically flat because that's a double top high of the day. How many times do you see something halt at the literal high of the day? 858, 860 indicated open, 30% short float. The story was a new COO, but that's old. That was yesterday in the morning, and I guess the chat boards or whomever is pushing the stock is having some success with that. So congratulations on Wendy's. Should be a 5-minute halt. If it's not 5 minutes, you know the drill. It's 10 minutes if it's not 5. So that should be opened up in just a matter of minutes. The first thing for me was SLV. Came into VWAP. That was just the first place to look. But you're still trying to put in a higher low. So it bounced off, bouncing in front of 53 even. And 53.4 is going to be VWAP. Looking for the low of the day here on the first salvo in SLV. SpaceX, oddly enough, not that violent this morning, to be honest with you.
No, it's not doing anything.
No, it's not. Ignore the dark pools there. I'll get rid of them too at some point. But no, it's not doing anything too crazy. Since the open, it's basically $1.5 range. It's not what you saw yesterday when it bounced to 150. So I'll just be patient when it comes to SpaceX. Not really seeing anything I'm too invested in just yet. Intel seems to be going the other way. As the market goes up, I thought Intel would press into the highs from yesterday. The market coming up, and it's not. So still relatively weak. I might have to look for VWAP or 135 to try to jump into the short there as well. Yeah, so yeah, it's really just a silver short for me. And then CBRS didn't really, Cerberus, for everyone out there, that's not really doing much of anything either. Tried to see if it would press back into the highs to grab that one short, but it's now under VWAP. Managed to hold 200 on Cerberus after the earnings. It's now fully SSR because it's 11% to the downside. So uptick rule in effect, not too much of a shock there for them.
First of all, I mean, first trade alert right there. I mean, we're starting to work it out right here on the TQs. So let's take a bid out here at 20 if we're able to do that as we just fall right back in. And there it goes right there. Let's go. The money is coming back in today, man. We're back and hopefully able to put on some good trades for you one more time. And there it goes. The only trade in is the TQs. We talked about shorting it. Let's wait to give it a couple seconds. It goes 20 cents against us. We'll take 30 cents. We'll take 20 cents there on the way back in. So 20 cents against us. I took out 15% or so there on the way back in. We have a marker at 75, so let me put a bid down there. If we get a 75 fill, then we can get a little bit more out, and then we'll just enjoy that little move. Let's check out on Palantir. I mean, Palantir has been rocking around as well, right? And there it goes, kablam, right there to the upside. I was saying I don't really like Palantir, and I don't. The software is just so falling out of favor right now, and obviously as Palantir keeps on getting work, they have the AI problem, and then they have the software problem. So we'll wait to see. Despite President Trump, loving this name, I do not, and we've talked about it underneath this 200 period has just been bleeding ever since. So yeah, I'm not a dip buy or anything like that in Palantir, but we'll wait to see what winds up happening here. Nice little 110 bottom that was made almost I think it was yesterday. We'll have to wait to see 113. Actually, looks like that was the low there, so maybe not 110. Intel dying now as well. So there goes Intel.
Well, dying's a harsh word, but
yeah, coming back into the downside right now. Pretty good. Down $3 straight there for Intel right now, from 134 right down into 131. Trying to take out yesterday's lows right now. So Intel looking
Micron. Right now, Micron and AMD, same thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've already. Look, man, I've already said my piece on Micron, man. I hope a lot of you got out there about 11:50, what we were talking about on Monday, as it's trying to bleed down. And look, I wrote down a bunch of shorts today. The #1 trade on the list was TQQs, and guess what? There it is. So we're going to go 1 for 1, and if you have this position on, maybe you're done for the day, maybe you're not. But there it goes. Nice move down in for the Qs. We're waiting for lower. Let's see if we can get into this 74.50 spot, and then we'll see what's going on there as we wait for Wendy's tendies to open back up again. And of course, the halt on that one is going to be a volatility halt, as we just discussed. 9:34. So you should be about maybe 10 seconds away from this opening up. So we could just stay right here and wait to see what happens with Wendy's, as it's indicating 8:59. So it looks like it's going to open up exactly where it closed right now, Wendy's. There it is. Yep, and that's pretty much exactly what wound up happening. And here's the fade back in. So that's one halt there on WEN. Let's see what winds up happening right now. The high of the day, 860. It looks like it wants to bust through that.
Amazon is flying, by the way.
Ooh.
Amazon to the green, 1.5% to the upside, and a little bit more. This is absolutely flying in there. Did we open? Yeah, we're open. Yeah, Wendy's is now obviously open, as you just saw with Sean, but absolutely flying. This is a 30% short float, everybody. It's not just Amazon. You're also seeing, oh, now I can't load again. Shit. Oh, there we go. Microsoft as well, absolutely blasting. So 1% to the upside here over on Microsoft, as that just broke through the HOD as well. So Amazon, Microsoft doing well, Apple doing absolutely nothing. Lunch 99, I see you with the super chat. Can we throw that one up there?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe not, but Meta you were able to catch. So those names absolutely flying to the upside as well. So a lot of the Mag 7, they did this yesterday, but there was a flush later. So be very, very careful. Lunch 99, you were able to catch that. Congratulations to you.
Dollar already on the futures. I mean, there it is, man. I mean, and look, we got long Wendy's. We got some out there at 87s or so on Wendy's, but yeah, there it is right now, man. There goes the market really falling in, and we're gonna see if we can catch that dollar. It's getting pretty close. We still have a decent spot on this one as well, and there it goes. My #1 trade idea today is the short on the Qs. So there it goes. Hello, my gorgeous wife. Hope you're doing great. There it is, 76.50 on the TQQ short. Short, long Google, short SpaceX. You got to check that out. But there it goes right now. Now we are officially that dollar club hunting right now on the market, on the NASDAQ. So we've made our day right there. Congratulations if you were following or tailing or whatever you're doing on that one. There it goes, man. I take days off because, you kind of need to. But when we come back in, man, we're still feeling it. You're really reading the board well. We talk about that with the gambler's mentality. But, yeah, we're not gambling at all. We waited for this thing to pop up right into our lap again. And boom, shakalaka, down it goes. There's the TQs. In the money now, $1. Huge. We didn't take very many shares here in Wendy's, but if this breaks 39, I'm out. That was that spot right there. And just to show you, we always talk about, winning and losing and making sure your losers aren't bigger than your winners and yada, 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 all that kind of funny stuff. We'll wait to see here what winds up happening. I probably, if this breaks 39, I'll lose about 10% of what we have unrealized. Oh, there it is, another fill right there. Oh my God, this market is really, really losing its bid right now as we continue to go downside. Man, this is a monster trade here on the NASDAQ, and just glad to be able to do that. And now we'll wait to see what happens on yesterday's lows there for the NQs. So yeah, man, it's good to be back, and we're glad to be in front of you all. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and your trades will be bountiful moving forward.
That's the idea for sure. SpaceX might break that 150. It's close. Got the order in. It's either going to come back up and bounce off VWAP, or we're going to get it breaking through the 150. Like, I liked it long yesterday, but that was yesterday. Don't really care about that today. Going to look for the short through if it does get there. Also, IBIT, we still like that one, want to play that one. But it gets through the lows. We played silver. We're able to get half out on SLV. Going to look for reload of VWAP, but this is looking weaker, so I might have to jump into this as well. I feel like SpaceX, one way or another, is going to be the next play. It didn't get high enough for a bit of a fade into 160, but it's certainly the breakdown at 150 has to be in play for us for sure. We have appreciate the super chat there, IDF, just saying hello there. I thought there was a ticker on that, but thank you, IDF, for the super chat. We appreciate you.
No, the only one that I saw there.
I saw there was a different one.
No, it was this one, but this was nothing. It was just you were talking, so I pulled it away. I was just thanks. I mean, it's just well appreciated.
That's what I was looking at.
Yeah, thank you so much there. whether or not I'm the man or not, I mean, we're making some calls here. We just did lose right there on Wendy's, though. So we got in a little. We only got out at 10% there and lost. So we have to slap. And again, we'll talk about them both. And this is why, we talk about what kind of risk we're doing here, right? So I actually put on a third. I mean, it's not even that many shares, a third of the shares that I have on the TQs. But I do want to start to empty out a little bit more of this trade right now. So we just take some 12s again there. As we're getting lighter, I have a third left on the NASDAQ short. So it was one of the calls that we wanted to make early on, but we do want to thank you for all of the super chats there. I was going to look at SpaceX again, because that's the other name that I really try to focus on a little bit. We looked at the 160 mark, that didn't come in. We're looking at 147, that didn't come in, but it just did bounce off 150 again. It didn't get exactly into 150.
Close.
Got to 150 80s, 150 50s there. So yeah, that's about good enough for me. And there goes Wendy's, man. Bang, 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 bang. Hopefully you are short, because this one is turning red. It just halted downside right now on Wendy's. So that's the problem. I mean, this is the thing. When you get involved in stocks, when people are talking about, hey, Reddit is pumping this or whatever, I mean, you guys are literally talking about it being pumped.
They dump it.
And so that's the thing, right? They're using you as exit liquidity, and that's why you got to get out when it breaks certain levels. And just to talk about where I got out once it broke right there. Like, so it halts, opens back up, retests 840, then started to rip back through. So the minute we broke through the high of the day, I bought that, thinking we could halt again upside, or just could go, who knows. And then once it fails out right there, we get out, and now we're not caught holding the bag on Wendy's. But it doesn't matter. It was 8:15. It's looking like it's going to tap at 8. We'll check this back in 5 minutes to see what's going on with Wendy's. And yeah, just still have a third of this one. I'm going to drop out of a little bit more here on the Qs. It looks like it's trying to battle back. We'll get some out at 30 if we can. And did we just get it? Yes, we did. So now we'll wait for another fill around 74. But so far, that's what we're doing. Wendy's halted down. Not a great move there for WEN. If you guys are watching out for it, still tap of $8. So I think you'll be okay. If you took that last 8.15 or you're caught long, it's right at VWAP. Should be interesting to see what happens at $8. Again, I always use the 200 period, but on these kind of names, you never know. 750 might be a bouncing spot there for Wendy's.
I'd look at, VWAP could be a thing for Wendy's for sure, but I want to see that after the opening rush, because if they already did the rug pull, then you want to see like 10, 10.30 if it's able to hold on to its volume. Got the reload in, I'm on SpaceX. Bit of a push through 153, up into close to VWAP, and then back through 153. Got a bad slip here, but that's fine. And I'm also back into a reload of SLV here. So a couple of names heading back as the market's trying to bounce, looking for the low. I still think a 150 break is a separate trade, so any shorts from VWAP got to be looking for the LOD as the potential target. That's going to be the name of the game as we come back into VWAP no matter what. And as I said, the other one we're in is just a reload in SLV, looking for that low of the day. Cerberus is going ham to the downside. I'm going to cancel my VWAP short because some stocks are popping up to get you reloaded or to get you back in. This one's not. And if it jumps $7 on a single candle, I don't know if I want just an order sitting there getting swept up. Not going to happen. So we'll look for some kind of maybe a breakdown, but it's so close to 185 at this point.
Minus 15.
Like, remember, the issue price is 185. So the closer you to get to 185, the less I'd want to be short the bottom. First available pop. That's the plan of action on Cerberus. At 185, the issue price usually gets defended by the market makers. Not the market makers. That's not the word I'm looking for. The underwriters, that's what I'm looking for. Usually defended, but you need to actually see size down there. If there aren't like significant shares sitting at 185, then I will not be even remotely interested in that bounce play to the long side.
Okay, I know Anil Neil just talked about SpaceX. Obviously, he's in it right there, but I'm trying to do the same type of thing here. Just waiting for a pop up on SpaceX, right? I mean, we're going to have to give it a couple minutes to see what winds up happening there again for SPCX, but just to wait for me. Yeah, NASDAQ just keeps on doing its own thing. We actually, you know what? On this little move down for the TQs, I think we'll get another 5% off right here if we can on the NASDAQ, which is right here at 30, but put a bit at 20. Okay, we got 26s there as it's falling back in, so that's going to be a good one. I wrote down Google at 147. Yeah. 347 could be something to look at. I'm pretty negative on the market today, as you guys know. So I don't know if we really want to support this 347 anymore. Adding to the Dow, very positive catalyst. But I don't want to let my opinion, influence, what the price action actually is. and obviously it started to work to the upside. I don't like the fact that it's been basically just falling back in right now, so I think we'll probably wait on that long, but it's at 347. That was literally the price that we wrote down, and it's just exactly what we just bounced off of there. So, you know, could be worth something, but we're now $1, like holy shnikes right now. Oh boy, are we ever bringing registers right now. I mean, this is a monster move here for the TQs as it's come right back into some of these lows. Let's get some out at 78. I just put a bid at 66. Like this is now $1.70 now in the money off that short, and it's the only trade. We do have Wendy's, but like I said, now that's becoming infinitely smaller now as the halt gets ready to open back up. 8:15 now tapping. So closes 8:15. Looks like it's going to open back up around 8:15. But it is the NASDAQ that's falling back in, right? The number one trade that I'd written down. And I also wrote down SpaceX. Other than that, not much. SoFi having a beautiful day long today, which is really great to see. I didn't check in Robinhood. I'm assuming Robinhood's probably fine. But there goes SoFi up 3%. And they're not the same company. But
no, Robinhood's down 4.5%. Yesterday, Mark Zuckerberg came out.
I saw that.
They're talking about prediction markets.
Yeah.
So there's that. CBOE, which is obviously a massive exchange. They're also going into the predictive market, starting out with the options.
Nice.
Same day options. So that's bad for Robinhood. They're down 4%.
Wendy's under 8, just opened. So, yeah, there's Wendy's right now.
Can we short that?
Yeah, I think you can short it. I mean, I don't think there's any problem borrowing it. But there it is. So watch out for Wendy's. I'm not going to short this name, but it's definitely something to look out for. I mean, you're now broken. Every time we've halted, that halt looked like it was going to open up fine, and then it did, but whoosh, right to the downside again. So just be careful. It's just a new, wow, okay. So now you're really starting to get hit now on Wendy's. It might halt the other way again, downside. I say the other way. It halted down the first time, but there it goes, man. It looks like it's trying to break a little bit lower. As this market rips back to the upside, are we getting an opportunity there on SpaceX to reshort it?
I'm out through VWAP.
You're out. Okay.
I'm out through both names through VWAP. Silver just went through VWAP, so the reload's not going to hold there. SpaceX, it was good yesterday, but that was a long yesterday off of 150. I played it off underneath VWAP. Actually didn't add to it, which I think is a good decision because the topping tail didn't give you a close under VWAP. If it closes under, then I can always try to jump back in, play with the trend if we can. If the market wants to bounce, then IBIT comes back into play for me. Potentially, it's still really far down here, 1.4, the downside. And CBRS, if we're going to get enough of a bounce, then Cerberus, it's not really bouncing here. So it's down 14%. I still want to look for VWAP. That's always the first place I'm going to look for any kind of a fade. I'm just not seeing it here on CBRS able to get there. So this has happened before where my first idea is short, and then the first setup could end up being that 185 long at the IPO issue price. If it can't get up, then all roads are going to head you right down to that 185, in which case it will have won the race between them and SpaceX. So they had a pretty significant head start, if we're being honest about it.
Yeah, I mean, I like Cerberus there, but I'm still looking at all these trades that I actually have on. I mean, the Qs have just battled back huge right now. So this is like making me think, it's a good thing we got some more out there. We talked about how much we had held, and now we're thinking about reloading it at 75.50. So it's coming right back up. So I'm going to put another offer at 75.50. And again, that's where we were kind of short before. We had popped through into 70s. Let's take advantage. Let's take it a little bit now, actually, at 20. We'll put, how many should we put on? Maybe a third of a spot there. So we'll take a little bit more right here at the 20 period, at the 200 period. So we got some, okay, well, that was easy. So we'll take a little bit there and take a little bit out there at 05. So just a quick little reload there off the 200. Not really reloading it. We just added to it. Like it's not a complete reload where we put it all back on, but adding dollar cost averaging up into a winning trade. So we'll wait to see what winds up happening there. I don't love it. I got to wait for 76.50. That was just a real quick one there. I actually might, what's up, Randy? I might actually take out a little bit more right now. Oh, another coffee. Okay. That's interesting. I just reloaded mine a little bit. All right, there goes TQs. Still waiting for that SpaceX. Let's check out our good friend Alex Karp and friends. Hey, Randy, I'll go check out Rivian as well in a minute. There goes Palantir right now, back upside, so that's nice. In a market that's now green, you now get Palantir to the green side because Randy's here. Let's check out Rivian. I haven't looked at that in a minute. Yeah, 15. So, yeah, it's not doing a whole heck of a lot. That bottom was 14.50 or so coming in there. Yeah, 14.50 or so. Good little bottom there for Rivian. Just hovering around, right? I think that's reasonable. I don't know how those deliveries, I don't know if you've heard anything. nothing yet. So we'll wait to see how those deliveries have worked out there. We do know that there was talk. It was June 9th they started rolling out in the United States, and later this year or even into 27 coming for us here in Canada. But there's another out for us for me on the TQs. That was a good reload. Basically, the only trade I've had all day is this one and the Wendy's take right there early. Nothing else is really hitting the levels. I mean, Apple went for a jog there on the way up and was debating shorting that one, but we chose the market instead. So yeah, not much going on right now. I mean, that I can see. Did Marvell battle back? What else you got?
CBRS is trying to bounce.
Right.
It's not really moving. You're not really getting the action off of SpaceX, off VWAP that I'd like to see. Remember Amazon with that move to the upside? It's back at almost said all time. It's back at a double top high. So the market's still being led by, maybe not Meta. Meta's all the way back to VWAP. So Amazon leading the way. Meta was stronger before, and it was those two and Microsoft that were holding strong. Even Microsoft starting to come back in. So now it's only Amazon that's looking pretty strong. So I have to be patient as some of these names are not really getting back to the upside for a bit of a fade. Like IBIT, short the lows, no. Cerebras still at the lows, not happening. Scott says SoFi is moving.
It is. We talked about SoFi.
But we didn't find a story on this one.
We didn't ask.
This is still really slow to flip.
Oh, Dara, we need SoFi.
5% up on SoFi. Robinhood down 4. Competition in the prediction markets. Interesting. Maybe it's a technical thing. You guys let us know if you find anything for sure. But I don't see any. Adara?
I'm seeing a call option alert. Apparently $22 calls for September 18th for SoFi. That's all I'm seeing. We know, or actually that's from yesterday too. Yesterday they also introduced that composer by SoFi, the AI-powered investing. That was also from yesterday morning. Nothing new.
Okay, bless you. All right, so we'll check out some more SoFi there as we go. I mean, honestly, man, this is what we're talking about though all day. You know, we got reloaded there on the TQs, and bang, there it goes. Like, this is absolutely like, we're really happy today again with the trading that's been going on here. So, you know, good levels, good breakdown below here. Again on TQs, like obviously we were debating how many shares to put on. We put on another third of a unit. So here we had about a unit and a half or so. I think it was a unit and a half on that move back in, and I just put on a third of 1 unit. So we only reloaded it like not even maybe 20%, whatever that math is, 25% or so. So yeah, could have put on a little bit more, but we'll just say, look, man, we don't want to look that gift horse in the mouth and just take it where it lies. And right now we'll do that, and we'll wait to see what winds up happening here with, you know, what's now been my good friend, the TQQs. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna take one more fill down here. Do I have any other bids? Oh, I do. I have a 60. Oh no, I have a 73.66 bid. Okay, let's just take some more out right there. So there it goes. So far so good here on a decent out for us on the NASDAQ. Nice little fallback in there. That's another 60 cents. So we got short there at 30s, out right there again. Let's see if Google did Google wind up holding? I should use proper English. Okay, honestly, man, I don't even know what's going on right now. There's 347 long on Google. So we said the TQ short, we said the Google long, and we said 347 on Google long. What's the low of the day? How about give me 347 right on the dot right there? So didn't take it, fine, but there it goes. That was a nice move. Again, added on the Dow. Even when that was happening there, I'm not gonna pretend like we missed that trade because I was watching it when that was coming in, and I was like, nah, you know what, with the way the NASDAQ's coming in, I can't really wrap my head around it. If the NASDAQ, if the traders didn't want to buy it on Dow inclusion, then neither do I really. But that was, sometimes, man, and we had, I think it was either Mitch or our good friend Scott Tileman on, and this is why, like, I love having those traders on because they think Stevie Tileman, his brother Scott Tileman, shout out to him. I just want to say, like, I love it when other traders have the similar mindset that I do because, you know, and it's, who cares about your opinion? Just trade off the technicals, and like that really right there. I like to sort of marry both of them. That's why we put out this sticky note. But that on 347 seems to have been a jam, and we're almost at another dollar right there on the TQs as we're, you know, just falling back into these bids one more time as we continue to short the market. So another good out there on the TQs. Let's wait to see if we can get even lower. We just took a 50, looking for a little bit more on that one, but yeah, I really like Wendy's there today as a mover. If you guys are looking at movers, I think it's been holding the 200 period. So, okay, now you're into Cerebras, so maybe we should go over there because I'm talking about the same stuff.
Yeah, Wendy's is still alive for me as well. As long as it doesn't break through 750, it's got a chance. But it's still in a bit of a downtrend. Topping tail happened on Cerebras. It just popped up through 196, try to get into VWAP. We got the topping tail here. I got 95s. Actually got 95 quarters and then some 95s. It bounced off 94, so it's already done a little consolidation off that first buck, and I want the 92s as the out. But this is one where I want to give it multiple shots. Like this was, we liked it all the way up here, but it just wouldn't pop into the prior lows. It didn't get anywhere close to those prior lows. It got to like 211 or so. These are like 213.5, 214. Needed to see 212 at least to be able to jump into it. As I said, Wendy's I don't think is necessarily. I was about to tell you it didn't look like it was dead because it was bouncing off of that 750 low, but it's right back into the bottom. Maybe it is dead. If it can hold 750 and break back up through here, then I would like some kind of a rebound trade. But the sentiment's gone. Seems like this is just a possible one and done here for all the people that were pumping this bad boy. We're gonna go up to a dare for happening now because Wendy's ain't happening anymore.
We also have some numbers in focus, guys, in just about 30 seconds here. New home sales units here, 639,000. Prior here, 622,000. So we're expecting an uptick here in new home sales. As such, we're also expecting new home sales month-over-month growth for the month of May 2026, 3.2% to the upside versus the prior print of negative 6.2% for the month of April. Let's wait and see what this number brings. Also, at 12 p.m., President Trump set to speak to sign a bill. 10:30 a.m., comments from Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. So new home sales actually lower than expected. It looks like here 580,000 versus, as you guys can see, the estimate of 622,000. New home sales month over month negative 7.3% versus estimates here of positive 3.2% is what I was seeing. So interesting look here for new home sales coming in below expectations. Market not reacting too much to this. Here is the NASDAQ, pretty choppy to start this session, half an hour in. S&P 500 looking kind of similar in terms of the movements, but the trajectory here does seem to be higher highs and higher lows for the SPY. Let's talk about Micron because MU will be reporting earnings after the bell. Heading into today's session, it was the fourth strongest performer on the S&P 500 year to date for 2026. The top three names were also in that memory sector. So let's see if MU can beat estimates of roughly $35 billion in revenue, earnings of over $20 per share. Let's take a look here at CBRS as well. One of a couple names that reported last night for earnings day one. Today, CBRS beating EPS and sales estimates, guiding better than expected here for Q2. Not well received by the market. FDX also another day one earnings play in focus. We send you over to Sean and Neil. Make sure to like and subscribe, guys.
Thank you, Darren. Traders out there, we got an offer. Well, Trade the Pool's got an offer for you that your broker absolutely is not giving you. We can be sure about that. From June 8th to the June 25th, that's tomorrow, everybody. You got to get it in there for sure. Trade the Pool is giving first-time users an exclusive second chance opportunity. This is a biggie. If it's your first time joining Trade the Pool and you don't pass the evaluation, that's the key. Trade the Pool will give you another evaluation account, and that will be free, completely free. A second chance to come back stronger, improve yourself. It's a one-time exclusive promotion. Available only during the Trading World Championship event, and once it's gone, it is gone. Scan the QR code on screen you see out in front of you right now. Join Trade the Pool today and take advantage of this exclusive second chance offer before it disappears. I want to thank Trade the Pool for sponsoring this hour of the show. And of course, we always have Mitch on, fantastic. And you were mentioning Steve Talman as well, a good friend of the show. And Steve, our good buddy, he doesn't really dabble in some of these small cappers, but hey, Wendy's did just bounce off 750. That was the level you wanted to see it hold. I had a conversation this morning about the 750 level to a couple of traders because that's where it was breaking this bit of a trend. So if it can get back through, hold green, look long, into VWAP first, and if it gets through VWAP, maybe play it as it comes because the halt level downside is about 815 or so. So if it gets to 815, I think profits out in front are going to be a part of the game, but I want to stop through 750. So I'm trying to get some 75s and then risk about a quarter. That'll be the idea, approximately a quarter worth of risk. And if it breaks that, I would suspect you could easily see a halt down on Wendy's. I have to nibble in it. If I can nibble in a third in front of 80, I'll go ahead and try to grab that because you've now confirmed a bit of a trend break with the second candle in here. So I just want to get picked up here on Wendy's. And again, this is a big time halt risk. If it loses 750, then I'm going to be out, like out, because you could be down at $7 right quick 100%. So you got to be very, very careful when you're trading this name.
Yeah, okay. A couple of two different names there with Cerberus, of course, and Wendy's. One is breaking key levels. One is moving around 100 million shares almost there for Wendy's. 78 million shares on that one. We'll take advantage of the move down again on the Qs and be able to deal with that one. SPCX, we'll have a quick look over there. I'll leave Cerberus to Neil. He's on that one. And then SpaceX trying to break the highs right now. So that's going to be something definitely worth looking at here. 156 and change right now for SPCX is the current open market highs. Looks like we're trying to get back into that level. I'm going to stay away from that for a minute, right? And but yeah, what's up, Stuart and everybody else? Waiting for me to trade SpaceX, but it's just, I marked down 147, that didn't hit. I marked down 160. I think a break of 160, I'll take the long if we can get something long there on a break of 160. That was the levels into yesterday, which was right there. When we broke it yesterday around noon, that was, a pretty decent mark there. And we came back in, we held, tried to hold around 160 area, and then eventually lost it in the aftermarket, or in the afternoon. So we'll have to wait to see. I'm going to go try a baby long through 160 if that what winds up happening. So that's what we're going to wait for right now on SPCX, and hopefully it hits. We got news on Intel. Remember I was telling you that it was dying there today. Nice battle back. Went down to 130, which was really looks like a good psychological level. We'll see if there's going to be a bounce there on Intel. Down on the day, NASDAQ up, NASDAQ flat now. So yeah, would rather wait for 133.50, but that could come into play very, very soon. We're getting lighter and lighter, man. I only now have a quarter of a unit left on TQs, which is basically the price that we reloaded right there. So that's why we have 25s on, not 35s. So we reloaded that level. We got out of the majority of that, but you can see it's starting to come back a little bit. So I'm gonna put another bid on here. We've already hit our daily goals just on this trade. We did lose though, and we talk about this all the time, and you're just gonna have to believe me when I tell you. But we lost on Wendy's here, less than 10% of what we'll make on the TQs. So well worth it there, and I think you always gotta put different trades in different buckets for sure. But at the end of the day, you want to look down and hopefully see some green numbers. And for me on Wendy's, like not holding that all the way back in did give me an advantage there to be able to get out and then, potentially relook at that. And what a good hold of Wendy's at your 200 period moving average. Maybe potentially look for a halt to the upside now on Wendy's. If it can continue to go. I know Neil's.
I don't know if it's a halt to the upside.
No, I don't know either.
The amount of the speed of the tape, if that's a thing, like how rapidly it's going through shares and churning through shares is vastly different now than it was at the open. And that can be an indicator that you're going to have potential halts. So I think it's more like range bound to the halt price, kind of stay inside of the range. I end up with 80s. So it'll end up with a 780 price instead of maybe a 75 price, but you're still pretty range bound. It needs to bust that top, and I think if it busts through 815, then you could see that high. Like the second halt was a halt to the upside at about 860. I think that's going to be it, but it's already starting to have some trouble. So I don't think the halt right now upside. There we go. I don't think a halt right now to the upside is in the cards. I think a play to VWAP is going to be the first thing to come into play. SpaceX, someone was saying in the chat, 150 was pegged, but I wasn't looking 150 long today, like yesterday. So that is what it is. It was a good long off 150 yesterday. Today, played the short into VWAP. It busted through the volume weighted average price and continues to go higher. Now it's about waiting for 160 and 165. 165 was the top in yesterday's trade, so I really think you have to wait out. Even if it busts through 160 or gets to 160 and take an attempt there, I think the 165, I want to be open up to that idea as well, and then wait for it to get there. Cerberus is still holding underneath VWAP. It hasn't busted it just yet. Would like to see it breaking this little bit of an uptrend to get back into the shares that we took off. It's still going to look for the 92. And remember, no matter what, 185, the issue price, if I see size on there, I'm just going to try to go for the 01 long. We talked about that play with regard to SpaceX. I don't think it's incredibly different for Cerberus. If there's millions of shares on the bid at an IPO issue price in a reasonable amount of time after it, then I want to take a shot at that trade. It's still the party. I mean, it's still an Amazon party to a certain extent, but you saw Meta lose the bid, you saw Microsoft lose the bid, and now Amazon is back at the volume weighted average price. If this one doesn't bounce, you can pretty much forget about it. You're going back to the lows and the Qs of Amazon can't bounce. This was the one out of the Mag 7 that was the strongest, leading us to the upside. If it can't hold on, the market's unlikely to, in my opinion.
All right. Yeah, no, I agree with everything there. I mean, we're talking about Wendy's upside. We'll wait for that. Uber keeps on hitting on the scanners, but I don't think it's really doing anything. So we'll have to wait to see on Uber. Yeah.
It's doing something.
I feel like it's trying.
It's doing something. Look at the daily.
Yeah. Oh, I know, and that's why I'm mad about my position in Uber, because we should be out of it, and I'm not. So yeah, Uber right now, as Neil said, they're doing some stuff, but nothing too great there for what's up.
Uber was also a Pelosi play. I don't know if it was mentioned earlier, but so apparently she got roughly 5 million worth of Intel and 1 million of Uber.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, she's buying 5 million. She's buying 5 times the stock. That's double the price. But yeah, I don't. We'll have to wait to see. I'm still not. I mean, Nancy Pelosi be damned. I know I said that I liked Intel for that reason today. But yeah, Uber. Look, man. I mean, if it's getting the Nancy Pelosi bump, great. I'm very, very close to getting out of Uber if it does get one more pop. I mean, I would love to get that back into $78. If we can do that, then yeah, man, I'm a fan of getting out of some of this Uber. So we'll wait. Hopefully it does hit for us, and then we can celebrate some Uber success. But for right now, yeah, I'm not really loving what I'm seeing anyways on UBER, as it looks like it wants to break lower. So yeah, not a great feeling there, but hopefully it does come. And I mean, the big dog there, we bought some Google yesterday, or 2 days ago, before the addition into the S&P 500. We talked about that with Katina Wilson Capital, as we're adding more and more Google shares to the portfolio. And we're able to get something under 350. I have to find you the exact price, but we talked about it it was Monday. So whatever those Monday sort of mid, hey, what's up, Joe? How's the Apple? Okay, it's good. Wait a second, Joe. I think Joe's doing a little psychological. Let me go over to Apple right here. I wonder if this guy's trying to pass on some hidden agendas over here. Apple.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, Apple's not doing anything.
I'm guessing not.
No, he's not doing that. But I actually want to congratulate Joe. I think you might be having your best month so far. I think this month. So there it is, man. Congratulations to Joe, as he's got the bangers going on there. We love to celebrate each other's victories around here. So congratulations to Joe, having a nice month. I know he did well on SpaceX. He's been making some great calls there on the Qs as well. So shout out to Joe. A more handsome mini version of myself, I feel like, with trading. But there goes Broadcom, 396 to 398, coming back into 382. We did get that Broadcom bump up from OpenAI this morning. Like I said, man, I mean, OpenAI is losing more money than we can even shake a stick at, as is Anthropic, and it's going to be a problem when they come to market. Announcing deals with them, I'm not even sure that that's a benefit anymore, but obviously the market thought about it early, and then people actually thought about it, and now Broadcom's to the downside. With the market not really doing anything, it's not a great sign that they've given it all back right there. But Nvidia was, okay, I was thinking it was going to try to hold that $100, $200 mark, and it does not. It goes up to 201 and now getting hit again. We're still going to hold on to this short in the NASDAQ, and just hopefully we do return back into some of those levels. But let us know if there's anything else. CUPR, that was one that's halted a couple times.
Yeah.
That was not one that's very much volume. Oh, well, today it's volume, 7 million shares. So there's CUPR on the halt radar as well. So, join the midday, guys. I mean, Neil's in Wendy's. I was in Wendy's earlier. But there's CUPR. And again, it looks pretty good on a 5-minute chart, breaking some of those levels. And if you look into yesterday, that high was $8 over the last couple of days. So watch out if we get back into that.
Wendy's volume is dying.
Wendy's volume's dying, okay. So right there into the tap for CUPR, 685, so a little higher. Just to show you guys, if it comes up, it's a name that we've talked about, that's 780, 790. So if you're long CUPR, anything there today, maybe think about getting out if we pop into 740, 750 again, just as a trade idea. But CUPR working for some, I guess.
All right, the tape is, maybe they're passing the baton to another name, and that could be perfectly true. But you just got into VWAP. I'm going to respect it. The tape, still dwindling volume, as we can see. Like every single volume bar just gets lower and lower. And I feel like when we start cresting that off, like if that starts to level off a little bit better and head higher, that could be a better moment. The good thing about Wendy's is it should still do like a couple 100 million shares today. So there should be multiple opportunities to get in. And, for myself, I look at these and usually prefer them over the volume-weighted average price. So when it can't bust through and the volume's still going down, it'll end up being a scalp trade more than anything else. And there's still gonna be a chance. Like if you're long at the 750 level, then congrats. You can hang on to that one if you like it. But the longer that volume doesn't taper on, I'll look for another entry. Cerebras is still heading down. I want the low of the day, and then once it hits the low of the day, I'm thinking the bounce, because these are all-time lows, and I could draw a line if it was there. 185 issue price, looking for a bid. It's SSR, so I'm looking for an SSR bounce off 185. So if it hits the 191 low, I want to be out of this thing, and then looking for some kind of a reversion to the long. The Intel, it was choppy early, but now it's starting to show some signs of respecting the volume-weighted average price. I like this top for a short. Obviously, you're not going to get anywhere near $138 off of the open, but if we're going to start respecting the volume-weighted average price, this can now trend break underneath VWAP and then play into what was a double bottom. That 128 half from yesterday, it wasn't just yesterday. It made that low, I think, not just yesterday, and then it did last week as well. So a bit of a double bottom at that 128 to 128 and a half. But if we can close under VWAP, we'll try to grab that one to the sell side. SpaceX doesn't get to 160, so that's a bit of a nothing burger. If you like Tesla more than SpaceX, then the good news for Tesla is it hasn't lost this 380 level. The bad news is, if Tesla loses this bid, I know Joe said, what was the strike Joe was looking at, 330, 335?
Something, yeah, I know.
It was like $50 lower from here. It might have been 325, actually. Either way, you lose this 380, or more precisely 379 here on Tesla, and that is going to look nasty. It's very much in play. From a trend perspective, I don't think you're going $50 down immediately, but that would be a huge flat bottom break for Tesla. Not being saved by SpaceX at all, but it's catching a bit of a bid here, so give it some juice that it didn't break that down this morning.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I love the Tesla stock at these prices. I don't know. But what I do like at these prices is SoFi. I mean, right now, you got to be happy as an investor in SoFi so far. We did buy some, I believe, at 18 and then again at 16. I've been buying on the way down of SoFi. The first time I averaged into this one was 20. I didn't buy anything up. We actually sold a little bit up there, but not much. And then we rebought some back at 22, so that was not great. Then rebought some back at 18 when we fell into this level the first time, based on some of these, old markers. And then we bought some 16s. So, yeah, I mean, we're still probably down. Well, we would be down on those averages in, but if it can get back up to the upside, I do really like some SoFi. And just a quick little look here at what we were talking about with the broader markets today. And it's always, we're at the highest spot we've been at all. I mean, right now the NASDAQ, guys, by the way, like the only trade that I have on all day is the TQs. So we've been sitting in this one now. I'm just trying to show, these kind of trades, when you get them, sometimes there's just the market's moving in sort of what you called, so it's worth holding on to, including reloads. So there comes the NASDAQ right back in. We're taking a little bit more profit on those plays. That is for sure, as we're at the highest spot we've been at all day right now, P&L wise. So that's going to be good. Every time the market goes down, it just keeps on adding, right? Because we only took one loss on Wendy's. All right, so Oracle downside today. The financials, we haven't looked too much at them. We keep on talking about SoFi, but today, as the NASDAQ is flat, now the NASDAQ's getting hit to the downside, now down 0.2. But JP Morgan, Bank of America, Goldman, Morgan, all the big names starting to fall back in. There's Charles Schwab as well, IBKR. We talked about Meta getting involved in the predictive market. So, IBKR, downside, Schwab.
CBOE too.
Yeah, CBA, yeah. Oh, they're getting involved as well. So KKR, some of these names starting to get hit. There's the big one, Robinhood. We say welcome to the S&P 500 index up for Robinhood as well as last month. So we'll see if that has anything to do with it. SoFi not involved over here yet. I like Capital One. I saw that was up there today. I think that's a name that I own a little bit of. And then I've been trying to pump the tires for a long time on this sector here. It goes all the way back to when we had our podcast and we talked about sectors that we liked, and that's when I was like, hey, man, the main ETF that I'm holding is XBI. So I really like what's going on in this space, including J&J. Obviously, there's your AbbVie. You mentioned that's the only one that's red today, but Amgen up 1.6. I mean, some good names. DHR, Danaher involved there, as well as healthcare now going higher. I do not like this space. We talked about energy. I haven't bought any energy names or sold any in a very long time. Just hold on to XLE, collect a little bit of a dividend, and wish I'd sold at highs. But they're all downside today, XOM and the whatnot there. And then here, man, Nvidia. Still, you're going to see right there 199.30 again there for the heat map on Nvidia. But AMD, Intel, Micron, SanDisk, KLAC, there's WDC down. I feel like you have a chance to sell some Micron, but I do think it ramps up there into the close. That's just a quick little look at some of the sectors that are moving around.
Yeah, sectors moving around, markets moving around. Well, we got that low of the day, so we rang a register at the LOD on CBRS. Now it's the hunt for the issue price. Either next available pop or we see the 185. The race to the bottom it's gonna get won, obviously, by CBRS at this point because SpaceX is flat out not dropping. So it can be great yesterday, but SpaceX, it was a long. It was a long off 150, just like yesterday. You can't call it any other way. And so shorted underneath VWAP, Cerberus works, SpaceX doesn't. You got to be in that bucket. And I'm not going to touch this. Back under VWAP or up to 160 or 165 is going to be the play almost no matter what. Wendy's has gone to sleep, man. The volume, see that? The volume's still trailing lower. So we got out at VWAP for what ends up being a scalp trade. I thought it had more potential, but for now it's looking like it's going to be fast asleep, unfortunately, over there on Meta. We're going to jump over to Adara. If Wendy's isn't moving yet, then maybe something else is catching your attention in small cap land.
Lots of eye-popping small caps on the watch today. All of these have market caps of at least $1 billion, with notable short floats and some retail attention. I am going to start, though, with Wendy's WEN. In case you guys missed the story on this, yesterday at 8:30 a.m., so now over 24 hours ago, Wendy announced the appointment of Steve Cirulis as its new CFO and CSO, or Chief Strategy Officer, as of June 23rd. So I guess this came into effect yesterday when it was announced. Wendy's with a $1.5 billion market cap and a just under 30% short float. RUN up next here. Sunrun to the upside. Tesla deal here for 16 gigawatts of clean energy. Good look for RUN with a $3.8 billion market cap and a 26% short float. Last but not least, FCEL, very volatile, guys. Be aware. Fuel cell, $1.55 billion market cap, 8% short float, announcing a 380 megawatt agreement with Fit Energy for data centers. So FCEL, RUN, and WEN all on watch today. Back to you.
And then you can
hit it.
Yeah.
But
that actually works.
More of a scalp trade there.
No, thank you, Adara. I was actually just talking about the SpaceX Toronto CDR and some of the trading opportunities on that. And I talked about this in the afternoon show that for whatever reason, I just found timing your entries was a little bit easier if you were going against the grain. And it ended up working in the afternoon on the short side, but that's a different story. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's not really doing much of anything today. It's still an inside day when it comes to this thing. Again, Wendy's doing absolutely nothing. Bitcoin, yeah, the one day we're not. Where are we at? 61,000? Oh, if we break 60K today, forget about it. There is nothing bullish about this. If anything, just pure continuation. You're all like your lows, if you lose 60, that's pretty significant. This is where the bounce has been multiple times this year. That 5 handle. I still keep thinking that we're going to 50,000 this year, and nothing about what is happening in crypto or Bitcoin is telling me otherwise. Still think you're getting to 50. This is what it is, everybody. They are not. Here we go, gates of hell. Have to.
Yeah, I mean, people were still so positive about that thing sub 100 or over 100,000, and unfortunately, I think that was probably your trigger to get out, and maybe 50 is your trigger to get in. So I think that could be.
I just think it's a level on the.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
chart.
Like if 100, 125, 100, 75 held for a minute, now 60's holding, maybe 50 holds. I don't know. I don't like it. I haven't liked Bitcoin in a minute, but I still hold some. So pretty much waiting to see what's going on there. But yeah, look, this is why you sit at those lows of the day, right? I mean, the low of the day here on the Qs was right here. 65. So we have multiple outs there at 65, where right now, man, I'm holding about 2% or so of that position period. So yeah, man, I mean, it's been a good one for the NASDAQ. I didn't get the 30s there. I didn't realize that was going to be the low, unfortunately. So here's a bounce back up. I'm not thinking about reloading it. It's 1030. It's coming up into 1030. If we do get back up here, the reload would be again at 75.10s or so. So we'll have to wait to see if that plays. And if it does, then good. I'll be there on that one. Just trying to find some more names, man. I mean, the box L is now halted, apparently. So we can look out there. We've seen box light a few times. And here it is, man, holding again fort is box L. So a couple halts coming through there, open back up there, halted at 10 o'clock at 480. I don't know, Adair, potentially news on this. It's a name, BOXL, box light. We've had some movement on BOXL in the past. That's probably reverse split right there, maybe a reverse split again. But there goes BOXL. Could be a nothing burger, of course, but we'll look into that.
They reverse split on Monday. I have nothing for you other than that. That was announced last week, and that's the latest news thing that I have for this. I'll check on social media.
Okay, so
it's twofold when you reverse split because A, maybe you're not going to get booted from the exchange. That's one pause. The second one is, well, you now have a smaller float in theory, so it's easier to soak up the float and then squeeze. And I think my guess would be that the pump and dump phenomenon, like they might target the ones that recently have that reverse split, so it's a little bit easier to soak up the float and head higher. I don't know. I always find like it's a conspiracy theory idea, but like when something gets to a smaller float or has no news story, oftentimes it can just be social media or people pumping it in channels. Adara?
There's a little bit of social media attention, but there's nothing like super crazy here. Like there, honestly, probably if I looked up a Meg 7, it'd be getting more attention than this.
It's usually Reddit and Discord. That's the thing. Like it's not really on X anymore for a lot of those plays. And I think that's where you got to be looking. All right, so SpaceX might be moving here. It's at 58. It's creeping higher, looking 60s, maybe into that. If it breaks 60, that 165 is still going to be the play. It's going to double check on. Cerebras is getting close to 185. We're down at 188. Do still think there's a chance that we hit that IPO issue price at 185. Got to see a bid down there. Like just because it's at 185 doesn't mean anyone's interested in defending it. Like this opened on May 15th. It wouldn't be May 14th. Hey, it's my dad's birthday. So it's a little bit different from SpaceX, and that a little bit more time has passed between the IPO and it getting to the issue. Like SpaceX is almost an automatic if it gets to 135 because it's like we're only like a week removed from it. Whereas Cerebras has had enough time that I don't think it's as automatic a defense. I want to see a bid down there. If there isn't one, you don't have to sit there and get run over. So I'm going to step away from that. Wendy's. All right, it's getting back above VWAP. So I might look for a second salvo. The other thing happening, I mean, the volume did pick up. So we lost VWAP. The volume's starting to pick back up again. Might try to re-enter this using the maybe just use the 790 as an out. So if we can hold VWAP and $8, look for that 790 level on Wendy's. Volume coming right back into this name.
If anything, I was thinking about, Wendy's. I was actually looking at Wendy's as well. But I was actually thinking about Palantir up here. You know, still red on the day, flashing around back and forth between red and green anyways. But this 117.50, we get up there, man. Maybe it's a short. But I do like the fact that we bounced off VWAP a couple times. So interested in this one. I'm interested in the long down here at 115. Hello, what's up? What's up, Jin? Hopefully you're doing well. Jin Wei there. Hello to you as well. Let us know, Jin, if there's any sort of stock that you're trading. We do want to appreciate the super chat, that's for sure. So thank you, Jin, for that. And hello to you as well, as we're having, obviously we keep talking about it, a good time around here, trading away. And, thanks to everybody for all the kind words that we always receive. And for the super chats, it does mean a lot to us and help support the show as we continue to grow. And you've seen we've added one, we've added Sia as well, and soon to come, hopefully an aftermarket show. And it's going to be just a good experience overall. We're hoping for everybody. Trump is on True Social. We do have oil coming out at 10 a.m. at 10:30. So oil inventory is going to be coming out. We'll wait to see what winds up happening with those. USO down 4% today. Pretty nasty to the downside there. Yeah.
Yeah, the Trump post is just that he canceled his conference to sign this bill because he needs to pass the Save America Act because he considers that to be a capital N, national capital E emergency. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It's not market related. That was the post here on Truth.
Capital E. Okay, let's go find out who's making all the money here at Real Trading. This is yesterday's numbers. So let's go over and have a quick little look at who the top traders are yesterday at Real Trading. We have someone over here that traded the NASDAQ and the AMEX $35,000. So these are the markets that they traded. This is the US denominated value. So yesterday there was obviously something big happening on the AMEX, probably a closing trade or
possibly SOX.
Or something there. Yeah, SOX possible there for sure, as we had some movement yesterday. AMEX again, New York and NASDAQ. So as you could see, man, no NYSE yesterday, very much AMEX related there. Could be SOXL.
We had an interview with Daniel Schlepfer from head of Real Trading, and this is one of the things that was talked about.
Nice.
those ETFs and some of the double leverage and the stocks when the chips are moving around, that's the place to be. You'll find when the space names are moving, things like NASA, some of the ETFs, they're out there, and that's where a lot of the juice can be had. Now, they don't list the tickers, but if we're being real, like there was a pretty hefty trend to be had in some of the chip names, and where the volume is.
Yeah.
There was an imbalance on it, but I don't want to presume that it's always the imbalance trade when there's also a trend trade that goes on. But there was a little bit of an imbalance at 350, and it caught a bid going into the close. So sometimes it could be a scalp trade, but it could also just be trading the momentum on those 2x daily leveraged.
Yeah.
Which continuously, if you look at real trading in the top 10 in volume, it's always half of the top 10 in volume of real trading are almost always those ETFs on a consistent basis month to month. They let us know that. That's one of the reasons we bring that information, because there's that opportunity out there. Yeah, SpaceX is coming close to the 160 level. You're finally grinding higher. I mean, it's been grinding higher, but it's just not. Yeah, when we bounced off 150 yesterday, it got all the way up here almost instant. It was 10 o'clock. It was already up there. It's 10:30, and we didn't make the bounce 9:42, about the same time. So it's about half an hour behind schedule compared to yesterday's trade. CBRS is not really doing much. It's bouncing off of, 188, so not that 185 yet. This could end up being another VWAP play for sure. So this or Wendy's, possibly IBIT for me. Those are the names I'm looking at. IBIT, Bitcoin, not really showing any signs of breaking the downtrend yet. But VWAP's starting to come in here as the market climbs higher. Let's go to Adair. We've got, oil inventories should be at 10:30.
Yeah, just be aware here, guys. EIA crude oil inventory is on watch. Negative 3.6 million is the forecast. Prior here, negative 8.263 million. Another event that could potentially move oil here. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to begin speaking at 10:30 a.m. Crude oil stocks change negative 6.088 million versus the forecast of negative 3.6 million. So a little bit lower than we were expecting here. Not much of a move in oil that we're seeing on this number. Again, negative 6 or so versus negative 3 or so expected. Back to you.
All right. Thanks, Adair. Yeah, so we'll get, those are the numbers here. We can take a look at what's exactly going on here with oil and, nothing. So not a huge number there, expected draw. Yeah. I'll get those numbers once they start to flash up here for us again, but not much going on with USO right now. So although those inventories are now out, there isn't a whole heck of a lot of action over there right now. Checking back on Wendy's.
Excuse me.
Yeah, man, it was pretty active early, and now it's pretty dead. So, definitely worth looking at, I think. We always want to have a look at this name because it could any point start to pump up with a 30% short float. Wendy's right now, does it have the tendies to go up? We will wait to see if you are holding on to anything Wendy's related there. Hopefully it's, something that you've traded maybe out of if you've enjoyed this, but really it's kind of at a decent level still. We haven't spent too long over this $8 mark today, so it's nice to see that it's over there right now. We'll have to wait to see if there's any sort of love back in for Wendy's. And we did talk about, having 2% left of these Qs. We were able to empty it out right down here when that just came through. And, I said that this could be a possible reload spot. I don't know. I almost feel like we should wait even until 76 again. The market sometimes just goes, and there's no point in waiting around for it if I don't want to average in there, because then even just going up a little bit, we start to give some back. So that's not something I want to do. We're a half hour away. I'll be getting out of here. And then we'll come back at 2 p.m. So I don't necessarily want to put on too much here, but I think if the market can continue to make a new high, then that's where I'd like to short that. So that's be around 76. So even based on that, I'm going to put a piece out right now at 10s. There it is, and just take a little bit out there only for 15 cents. As now we get lower and lower, not much going on for me on that one. Tesla is trying to break above. So maybe there's some levels here. That's 384, 385. Those are those pre-market highs. Tesla does have an opportunity to, really be one of those movers every single day. The only problem with this one would be if you break that high right there of 384.50, well, then you're running into yesterday's levels of 385.50. So might only be worth $1 or so, but I still love this TSLA area right there. Yo, what's up, long this? We have a super chat there. I see it's about BBAI. If we could get that up, I'll see what it's saying. Well, okay, I can just call it up right now. All right, BBAI is killing me. Yeah, it's not killing me. I'm too bad there, but we can talk about it. Do I think it's a fundamental issue, sector rotation, or just traders being trading? I think it's the same thing when you look at a Palantir, right? I mean, when we're calling BBAI a baby Palantir, well, yeah, Palantir is getting smoked right now. We're still long at 420. That went to 550. So, that was 25% winner right there on BBAI. I'm not going to panic because where it is, it's still a very small percentage of the portfolio. This is a shot call. I don't even, we've already done well on this. We got out 550, 650, 850 on the way up. So that 550 could have been taken out again right there. That was the high. I like the story. I think that as we talk about government contracts, that's increasing. They do have, they just bought another company out that was the body heat scanners. So there is some, opportunity there. And they have an LLM that's been approved by the government. So I do think that there is some potential for Big Bear AI, but I wouldn't average into it. Like whatever you're in right now, you're probably in enough. And if you wanted to wait for something, what about $3? Just try to wait for $3 if you can, and then maybe buy a little bit more. But this is just traders being traders, to answer your question. I mean, it's downside. Look at Palantir, right? I mean, this is off of, and this is why it's tough to believe in, what leaders say and everything like that. Like Alex Karp basically called Palantir the best tech quarter he's ever seen, or obviously that they've ever had as well. But he talked about across the whole board. Since then, it's just been straight downside pressure for Palantir. So I don't really, believe too much in this space anymore until you start to see names like Microsoft and all those big guys start to come back to the upside, Salesforce, some of the IGV names, because it's been beat up. Like if they're not coming to buy Microsoft when it's from Microsoft's almost down just as much as Big Bear AI. So like if you're not, Big Bear AI's high was 5, this was 470. Now this is down to 370, and Big Bear AI is down to 360. So obviously the move is more pronounced in Big Bear AI, but not by many percentage points. So until they come to buy some of these guys, I'm going to wait on some of the lesser known names.
But one thing to keep in mind about the IGV, because like a lot of times it's like, oh, the IGV's going, software is starting to pick up, and I know it had a big rally. But try to remember how big the rally was on the Palo Alto and CrowdStrike. Like part of the reason why you extended so far on the IGV was specifically cybersecurity names. Like it wasn't as if it was across the board. Some things were built differently on the bounce than others. So like I know we referenced it, software is bouncing. Sometimes you have to look under the hood and realize not all of them were going, and still you have that sentiment into the downside. And Wendy's, every time I look over at Wendy's, there's some other small capper that's actually moving that you guys are talking about. But no, that volume is going to be relatively dead. Still waiting for, like IBIT, won't bounce, won't get to VWAP. SpaceX, again, it's just not moving as rapidly. I feel like yesterday, like the way, it just felt like that initial move up was faster. Now you're on that slow grind to 160 and to 165. I was just looking at a sector we were playing in yesterday's trade that was actually pretty good. I didn't realize it had gotten this bad. And shout out to those in the chat that were yelling about the quantum names. QBTS was a pretty good one. We talked about the president and the administration investing quantum, like IBM had its own story as well. Well, forget about all those gains. It was a good long early, it bull flagged it, the continuation is real. How about that for a flat bottom break? And a fail in QBTS. Down 7%. This gets, if they sell the new, like remember they just had more, more support from the administration throwing, basically throwing favor at them. If the response to that is to lose the bid, you always have to take a step back and remember what it is that these are. And those are companies where we're watching the World Cup right now. Go to any one of the top teams, go look at their top couple of players and what they're earning, and that's more than the revenues of any of these.
Oh yeah, things. Easily, yeah.
And I shouldn't have said the top teams. I should have said just like a regular team. because they're not making any money, and they have billion-dollar valuations, and at best, some of them have like millions in revenue. And I'm going to talk about at best. There's at least one of these suckers that's like 150,000 in revenue last quarter, I believe. It wasn't QBTS, I don't think, but so be careful. This flat bottom breaks 22, and it turns into a momentum short. I'm just really, really surprised. And no, Cabo, see, Rex Banner's like Cabo Verde. I don't know, because Cabo Verde probably doesn't have anybody making more than the revenues here, because impressive story, that Cabo Verde, but that squad has nobody playing in the top leagues. That's why I think what they were doing is impressive. But when again, if you have a billion valuation and revenues are coming in at 10, 15 million, you know what you're investing in, right? And that means it can go to zero. Like I have shares of QBTS, but in my opinion, that and SMR, if they go to zero, it has to be an amount that I can live with. That's what a shot play is. And it also means you aggressively take profit on the way up. And I'm not mad when you sell things when this was breaking out and it seemed like a great idea to sell shares in the teens, because it could go back to zero. And then it further doubled up from there. That's also part of it as well. Sometimes you will take profit out and it'll double and triple again, but I don't want to be left holding the entire bag. And you could throw that. You can say the same thing about the nuclear names. Look at SMR, down 5% today. These are getting smoked. Quantum and nuclear are both getting smoked this morning without a headline. It's not a good sign.
No, I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, wait for SMR back into $10 maybe.
It bounced right off 10 today.
Yeah.
Literally
Off
$9.98 today.
Yeah, I don't know. Those are levels that we're waiting for sure. I'm going to take advantage of, well, I mean, I don't even know if I'm waiting for that, but just as it's come back in. I'm going to start to exit out of this. We talked about potentially not reloading this level. It does break a little higher. We're going to get a little bit more out there. Continue to watch out for SpaceX. Still haven't put a trade on that one yet. It almost came through. I mean, I have my stop order to go at 160 to break through 160. That did not happen there, and now it just fell off that. So I think we might have made a little bit of a mistake there. And there's 160. It's your 50 period. Sorry, it's your 200 period on a 5-minute chart there for 160. So that would have been a level there that I thought, hey, man, if we break it, I like it. But it did not break, so I know like. That's SpaceX. All right, let's go back over to the desk now with either Adara or Sia, one of them.
Sector watch time. Let's start with what's strong, because it's actually quite a few sectors today. Producer manufacturing looking good across the board. Consumer non-durables strong. Transportation strong. Uber up about nearly 3%. Not entirely sure this is the entire reason, but Nancy Pelosi apparently disclosing a trade in Uber to the upside. So nice look there. Consumer services strong. Health tech strong. Non-energy minerals. I mean, this is going to be an interesting sector because we know there's been some commodities going back and forth here. You do have weakness in both NEM, so gold play, and copper play, FCX, but other names in the sector are doing well. Distribution doing well. Electronic tech is actually where things get really interesting. You've got flat more or less here for Nvidia and Apple, but then strength in a lot of other names in the sector. Qualcomm, Marvell, WDC, however, pulling back. So some chip and memory pullbacks ahead of that MU earnings report after the bell today. Do not forget, guys, finance weak across the board, and technology services, bit of a mixed look here as well. Google strong, but other Mag 7s of the sector, Meta and Microsoft, relatively flat to weak. Then you've also got some weakness in SaaS yet again. ServiceNow down about 1.5%. Poor Oracle down 3%. Back to you.
Ooh, poor Oracle.
The Oracle of Oracle shorts.
Yes. Well, Oracle, I mean, I still think, like I said, man, I think this AI is in trouble for a minute here, and we've talked about that a little bit. I'm almost out. That just came right back to VWAP. So actually, you know what? I am just going to clean out. There we go. We're out of that one. We'll put it in right there. About 1.5 times our daily goal there on the TQs. It was about 2 times when we were down there. We give some backup as it comes back up to the upside. So we'll make our goal right there on the Qs and just get out. And it was a good reload, but we were able to exit out of the majority of that here as we come back into VWAP. So let's just punch out, and I just don't want to worry about it. So we'll get out there. Our last out at 75, obviously not great, but that's it, man. So that was a good trade there. We'll wait for the next one. And I just want to say, when I was talking about Microsoft, because I see Microsoft's hitting on the scanner right now as well, as that's bouncing off the 200 period moving average. I'm just comparing Microsoft as an IGV, as a software play, and I was just saying, like, not that Microsoft's comparable to Big Bear AI, that would be ridiculous. This is just talking about until these names start to really recover, there's no way you're going to get these baby stocks going anywhere, right? I mean, real money has to come back to work, and then maybe upgrades will start to happen in some of the other names, and it's just one of those plays that you got to wait for. And if anything, I think the better comparison is a name like a Palantir, where you're using AI and selling basically, your ability to connect over, parse through data and spit out some kind of a result. And, that's what Palantir is trying to do now as well. So that's a nice move right here for PLTR today, but still down 1%. I mean, it starts off really brutal, and then there it is fading. So I think for tomorrow, and even for now, I mean, there's VWAP now breaking. It's too bad we got out of those TQs because it's kind of making move back lower now.
Oh,
but just
Brian had a good thing on Palantir.
Yeah, okay. What did Brian say?
So it was a huge confluence. He drew an anchored. Whoops. Why is this? Hey, there we go. Thank you, WeSignal. Nice. See, when I hit enter, it just goes right over to Palantir, which I thought I already had up. No, so while you're under 50, you're under 200, all the moving averages are gone, but there was a $100 level anchor. So it's out in the middle of nowhere on the dailies and the weeklies. There's just nothing sitting there. It looks like a gigantic gap in almost every single time frame. So you just think $100 is is a random number, but there's a big anchored. I'd have to go back and look to see where he drew the anchored from. But yeah, he was highlighting the $100 level.
It might even be from. We'll have to add some.
Again, I'd have to. I can always go back and rewatch, or you can go back and rewind. But it does seem like, you're just picking 100 because of 100. But that was a place that he felt technically he could get to. So flat bottom break at 125 gets to $100. I mean, that kind of works. And then I think he drew a Fibonacci as well, and it even lined up on some kind of a fib. So
Fibonacci, you say? Okay.
A little bit of confluence there. We'll
SPCX.
see. We'll see. It definitely could be that. Look, still waiting for, Wendy's. I know everyone's trying to will this one to existence, but it's just losing the bid again through VWAP. So this one, it managed to kind of hold 75. It managed to kind of break VWAP, but you can want it to be a long. It just hasn't been one today for Wendy's. So continued disappointment for me there. I do at least have D-Wave on the radar. I think it's already shown you a short at VWAP. I think another chance. It got close before, down 8% before it gets to 10. The market's going up, so a push, it gets dragged back into the volume weighted average price. QBTS is going to be one that I'm going to look for the short. I just realized I didn't check. QBTS we can short for free. That's another advantage here. You probably have to pay for Rigetti, but QBTS free locates on that one. We'll take it. So if we get a bounce back into the volume weighted average price, this one I'll like to the short side. Quantum is a space that is getting absolutely burned today. Despite the market going back into the green, that's the mags that are taking you higher. It ain't if you're not making money, it's not like those aren't the names that are going. I saw someone saying Corning is a great company. That's 9% on Corning.
Down? Oh, up. Yeah, I know.
Well, it's a good company. It's a good company. Is there something specific for Corning? I mean, that stands out like a sore thumb, does it not? In today's market, I get it. The market is trying to go higher, but that's a big-time blast to the upside on GLW. And shout out to anyone who happens to be in Corning. Here, I'll hit this because we're not in football season, but a draft that we didn't care about that much happened last night, only because it doesn't mean anything to the Raptors.
Yeah, 19th overall pick.
Yeah, that's the thing. Raptors would not.
That's too bad. I bought Corning in around that 180 marker. We talked about very light again. I just didn't average. Yeah, it was because of the Nvidia deals. There was deals with Nvidia there that Jensen had talked about Corning and how much they did like it down there. And I missed it the first time up, and then you guys even in the chat, thank you for alerting me. That came back in, and we did. But I was so small. But anyways. Yeah, nothing to. Did you want to pipe in there, Daryl?
I was gonna say there was no news on Corning. I looked. It's funny because UAL, a lot of these names are kind of having these weird pops off the open. But yeah, GLW really sustained, much like SoFi. No obvious reason for it.
Okay.
So we'll just give it one of these.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. When a small cap company with a small flow, big short flow starts running and there's no news, you get that whole skepticism. You're like, okay, fine, it's not gonna last. When GLW just starts going and there isn't a specific story, well, that's different because that's real money that's going into it, right? That's real money pushing it into the highs for a potential breakout. And this goes right back to the conversation we're having with Brian. I'm pretty sure we had the same conversation the week before that. It is so much easier to find something you like that is in an uptrend that presents you with dip buys than it is to catch the bottoms. And I hate to keep using the same. The first thing I think about to exemplify the point, it's not to pick on Lululemon, it's just, like if another stock came to mind in the split second, that's what I go to. But instead of trying to pick bottoms on things like Lulu or Nike, there's a Corning out there. It could be, Givanova gave a pullback, didn't get to the 200 period moving average. That was okay. You could look at the same thing. You could do it with the Qs if you really wanted to. Micron reports tonight. That's been giving it to you as well, although different story potentially this time because they have the earnings. But every single time it's pulled back off the highs, a decent chunk, 15, 20%, you're bouncing off of trend line and getting back to the high. Again, different story because they report tonight. It could blast right through that. But the market catching a nice little bid. Is that going to bring SpaceX up to the 160? That should give it a chance. That's nope, not yet. Still, that won't go up, huh?
No, it's trying. I just wanted to say, like we did, and again, like at least we're sitting here giving some ideas. We did talk about liking Palantir down here at the 200 period moving average. So if you were sitting at 115.50, which I should have been, Palantir there has now up $1 and change off of that 200 period. I like that play for sure. Right now, this is why we get out of the market and we don't worry about it. There we're out at VWAP. It goes down another 30 cents, whatever, off of that, and then it just pops right through. You notice the non-reload there. We talked about how we wanted to play the move down. Box light is popping again, and there it goes, man. We actually indicated this. We talked about a reverse split just the other day, and now you're up 95% on box light as you just continue to go higher. There's the breakout there. Nothing on this name, macro-wise, just a technical move because, again, shortable, huge amount of shares out there. They reversed that split, go from 50 cents all the way to whatever it was the other day there. And now it's all the way back up through $5 into $6. As here we go, it's box light. Going to probably halt again. There, halted again. I can't see if it halts on the chart, but then we flip over here and there it is. 3 million shares. We brought this to you at like 600,000 shares or so when it was halting back into there. There's a nice move up on box light.
What's the blue again, sorry?
VWAP is this one, yeah.
Oh,
that's VWAP there. So that's been holding out pretty good there. Baffin, okay, so nothing's going on there. CUPR was another halt name that's moved around. And then, of course, Wendy's doing its thing there as well. So Tesla just went right back up into a key level as well, 384, and faded off of that. So pretty choppy here this morning. I'm still trying to find some names that might be. I just saw someone there. What's up, Robert? Put an Intel. We can have a quick look at Intel. Yeah, what a great level at 130. Wow. I mean, the key levels continue to be it, right? Key dollar values. So 130, 140, 135, things like that. And that's what you're in right now to 135. So we'll see if Intel can wind up holding. That's looking like it's done pretty good. And then I'm getting flashes on Nvidia. I think it's high of day, right? Yeah, so Nvidia coming in into 201 and change again. So this could be a decent little short if you don't believe in this market for Nvidia. 201 against that high of 201.50. Not a horrible spot to think about some Nvidia. But now the market's cooking. So now you're up 0.6, been a good one here. I like that move. And then to check back on SoFi, I thought maybe SoFi was going to pull back on a recent move higher, but no, man, SoFi at highs right now, up 5%. So that's pretty good as well. You can make money, but is your money talking to you? We're going to go find out right here in the back with Adara and the Money Talk segment.
Really nice look to the upside here for DXY. It's poised to be green for 5 of the last 6 sessions. Let's see if we continue this streak. Right now, nearing that 102 level, currently trading around 101.7. We're still near these multi-year, or rather over 1-year highs for the US dollar. If you take a look at this weekly chart, as you can see, poised for our second straight green week. Next level of resistance here is going to be that level from, again, about a year ago, May 12th, 2025. Let's see if we can take that out of both the daily and the weekly for the DXY, just from a technical standpoint. We did have some economic data coming through today here. U.S. new home sales units, those did come in lower than expected. As such, new home sales change actually negative versus a positive expected print. Tomorrow, though, is where we get all of the really exciting economic data. You get PCE and core PCE month over month and year over year. Core PCE, we're expecting slightly hotter than the prior print, about 0.1% hotter for both month-over-month and year-over-year. For non-core, we are also expecting hotter prints. Notably, PCE year-over-year expecting a four-handle, 4.1% versus the prior print of 3.8%. Let's take a look here at the CME FedWatch tool, as I always like to do during money talks. Still about a 68% or so chance that the Fed will hold rates at the July 29th meeting, so just over a month from now. 32% chance that rates could actually be hiked by 25 basis points. Now, if I move over to the probability section of things, we are still seeing a chance here of a rate hike heading forward in September. Now, what's interesting, though, is we were also seeing the chances of greater rate hikes heading into later this year, early last year. That's now gone. So we're still seeing that rate hike in September, but maybe less hikes in the immediate future for that U.S. interest rate. Back to you.
Well, I mean, that going down will help things a little bit. It doesn't seem to be helping the companies that aren't making money though this morning, because I feel like it's all, if you got high debt and if you're over leveraged, those names aren't really bouncing. Seems to be a lot of quality. If you're looking at tech, the quality seems to be bouncing. Goes without saying a little bit better. But as the market gets to the highs, I finally found something that wasn't making a high that is a setup, and that's going to be SMCI. Doesn't break yesterday's top, doesn't break a double top, losing VWAP as we speak. So we always have locates on this, but you never, sometimes you don't. If I had to go pay for it, I want to be able to know that I have to. So either we're going to get the double top or let it close under VWAP, and I like this one to the south side just because the NASDAQ is right at, it's not just the highs, overnight highs. Yesterday's afternoon resistance, right? Like, or I guess lunchtime resistance levels. And it's 29.9. So 30,000 would have been the top yesterday, and then 29.9. You're just getting into that top. So find me something that is relatively weak. If we lose that high, then I want to jump into SMCI. I know percentage-wise it's not, but just in terms of sentiment. Market at high, it's not relatively weak, in my opinion. So either that breaks through VWAP, or we're going to short this one at the high of the day. So that'll be the next thing it looks like for me. Wendy's Nothing Burger, SpaceX not moving like it used to, for sure. We had a super chat.
Okay.
Can we throw? There was a super chat I thought was about Rocket Labs.
Oh.
I'll try to find it myself, and if you can throw it up faster than I can find it, Andre, I swear I saw it. Oh, that's okay. I'll find it myself. It's here we go. We throw it up. There was Javier. I knew I saw this. Is it a good idea to buy the RKLB dip? We're not here to give investing advice. If you like a company, who's anybody to tell you whether to buy or not? From a momentum perspective, since this started selling off on the SpaceX hype and then continuation on the SpaceX actual IPO, so like flush on IPO day, continue the downward trend, nothing yet has been able to give it a bid, right? Like it finds one level of resistance, holds it, drops down. The prior low, resistance, drops down again. So, it's stair-stepping to the downside, and on a collision course with the 200 period moving average, which it has respected for a very, very long time. You have to go all the way, this bounce here is in April of 2025. The last time it actually held under the 200 period moving average, I'm not even going to bother. It's more than 3 years ago, so let's not even bother with it. I think as long as it holds that trend, that looks like the technical level, $77, 75 in the 200 period. It just keeps stair-stepping down. SpaceX was a pretty big market event. You got to respect that. And remember, it's not an IPO, but when HK Hynix comes to the U.S. markets for that ADR, Micron, the other RAM names, it could be a similar type event for them too, where it turns into a Selden News when people are looking to raise capital in your group. It's not always a good sign. It can be a sign of a bit of a temporary top.
Yeah, I think Rocket Labs, again, was a pretty easy one to think about fading. We talked about that.
ASTS, they're all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same. The only thing, the mistrade of the day, there will be no, Google long, I don't know, we write this down at 8 o'clock. Google long 347. We added it to the watch list, looking for possible reversals, watching for pullback into these levels, right? And so 347 on Google was what was written down. And even as we saw this name come in, I didn't trust myself. That was the very bottom, was 347. And again, that happened at 950. We wrote that down at 8. There it goes blasting to the high side. So next time we got to trust ourselves a little bit there with Google as we wind up missing that trade. All right, here we go, man. It is a favorite moment here on the show, at least on our show. I know we don't have many of them, but the midday.
I peeked and saw it.
Yeah, I saw it again, right there. Hit the what's for lunch? Okay, there. That's for Joe.
You like this?
Yeah, I saw already there. Well, no, today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I don't. Chipotle lime grilled chicken?
What's wrong with that?
Nothing. It's not bad. It's Mexican flag, by the way. Yeah, yesterday. I knew yesterday's was going to be
side,
good.
Though.
Right there. Yeah, I saw. Right now, I think it says Power Bowl base. I think it's going to be lime quinoa with some chicken on top.
Yeah.
Lime rice, and quinoa. And then, yeah, on the topping. So to your point, I think it's a bowl. So it's going to have roasted corn, pico de gallo, shredded lettuce, cucumber, pickled red onion, and then avocado, sour cream, and so on and so forth. So looks like we got a bowl today for lunch. So for me, that's a what's for lunch. And a slappa, we definitely like that one.
As long as that's what actually shows up.
I think so.
They haven't done the bowl before.
Well, the thing is, it's pre-portioned now, right? So because we don't have everybody in the back, so it doesn't come as like
so
a
much
huge,
extra food. Though.
Yeah, so right now you got to make it. No, but not anymore. They don't. It's just all pre-portioned now.
Oh yeah.
So everybody gets their own. So yeah. Anyways, that's what's going on right there. So that's what's for lunch. And by the way, oh hell yeah, Nancy, you're giving me an out, baby. There's Uber right now, $75. What? Well, $74. Hopefully $75. What a move up there, man. Nancy buys and the stock, don't trademark this. Nancy buys and the stock flies. And there it goes, man. Uber straight to the top side again. I'll be back later this afternoon, maybe not. $74 right there coming in. We'll see what winds up happening there at that level, giving me an out. So I think I'll actually take advantage of that. Let's see what winds up happening the rest of the day. But hopefully we can break above and hold. Just, I'm going to check the account, see how much we have. But I think lightening the load a little bit here on Uber might be worth it. But maybe it's just my opinion is a little bit too hard on it. But I don't know. No news today other than the fact that Nancy Pelosi went in and bought $5 million worth of Intel and then also $1 million, I guess, worth of Uber. So Intel up 2%, Uber up 6%. So that's a nice little rebound day there for Uber shareholders. So congratulations on that one. And then again, man, we didn't reload. We mentioned 76 as a possibility there for the TQs. So watch out for that one there on the TQQs. Yeah, and you know what? Like, I do think that there is something, and that's why what's up to dogs in the fight. I do think that there is something about that. So here it is. I'll put it up. That the Robotaxi is coming for their lunch. I don't know if it actually means that they're going to end Uber in the long term. Uber has Uber Eats, they have Uber Freight. There are a few other things that they have that the taxi is not going to necessarily end their business, but I do think it's at risk for their model, especially when you have Waymo kicking around as well. There's lots of opportunities.
Partnerships with Waymo that's their chance.
Yeah,
like they have to. So if Waymo wins and they get a bunch of partnerships with Uber, Uber's okay. If the Robotaxi and Tesla beats out Waymo to a large extent, Uber is in a world over.
Yeah.
I think it's like a bet on Uber is a bet on Waymo and other non-Robotaxi plays. That being said, like I don't know, this feels like this push up, like this Nancy push up, if that's all that it really is, it does feel a little meme-ish as it gets into resistance. Like maybe if it puts in like any kind of candle on the 15 or the 3 that indicates that this program buying is done, which is extreme, there could be a reversion in here, but it's like slowly climbing volume on Uber. I'm just going to do this for this. See that how it's slowly climbing in volume? You get a change in behavior on both the volume and this, and you could signal a little bit of a temporary top for a reversion. But it's 11 o'clock. We're going to enjoy some Mexican cuisine. Forgot to say, Canada, they play today against Switzerland. Big match.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Only have to tie, but they can't approach it.
They can lose because
I thought we.
No, because our plus minus is +6.
But we can't. What's the amount?
Then we would be 1-1-1.
But we don't want to come second. We want to win the group.
No, we don't want to come second. But
we want to win the group. So we got to
qualified already.
Yeah, we're going to get through. The first time Canada's going to get through, but I feel like you got to put the foot on the gas, play with purpose, go out there and win the match, and end on a high note. For sure. But Uber absolutely flying. The market's trying to get back into the upside as well. Even Wendy's is above VWAP, although it's not moving that much. We're going to enjoy our food. We'll come back at 2 o'clock, everybody. It's Sharif, the professor, Joey Options. Go get him.
The professor.